They probably said it in a more vague way than never consider. They'd probably say, we are committed to the future in CS, right? Something like that.
Yeah, well, like I've been keeping my ear down and I've been listening. I've been listening to the whispers. I've been listening to the whispers of the Counter-Strike Nines. And apparently that's where Rush is going. Apparently that's what's happening. Apparently he's going there. So keep your eyes out for that, right?
Add some fun to your space with Xtrfy, designed in Sweden with focus on quality products built on experience. You're looking at Project 4, their 4th generation of products with super cool colorways to stand out, with matching sets to satisfy with a solid B4 bungee, lightweight ergonomic M4 mouse, the K4 keyboard is fantastic, all of which are performance focused, and finish it off with colorful GP4 mouse mats that are bold in design and smooth on the surface. The retro theme in particular has got the feels. Complete your setup with Xtrfy. No regrets guaranteed.
These bombs go to the teammates.
I wanna see you rolling fast. Win the round. Win the game.
Parimatch, your esports teammate. Hey buddy, let me show you how to fix that. Bitskins.com. Buy and sell skins instantly. Deposit and withdraw funds instantly with crypto or directly to your Visa card. Bitskins.com. The best skin marketplace.
It's time for HLTV Confirmed. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Counter-Strike fans around the globe. The tournament break has officially begun. That's correct. The tournament break, not the player break. Tonight's episode is number 48. It's Thursday, the 22nd of July, and the time right now is 8 p.m. CEST on the bloody nose. Look, quick shout out to our sponsors, Xtrfy, xtrfy.com. Check them out if you're in the market for some peripherals, mouse, keyboard, mousepad, headphones, all that good stuff. Parimatch, they've got markets for Boomer Sports and for Zoomer Sports. Gamble responsibly. And our newest sponsor, Bitskins.com. Bitskins is a skin marketplace. They got those knives, those dragon laws, those gloves, all that stuff. You know what I'm talking about. If you want some skins and you want to trade them, head over there, see what they got, have a little bit of a look. Now, that's the shout out for our sponsors. Thank you for supporting the show. If you guys at home want to get the HLTV Confirmed podcast pumped directly into your ears, the show's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. Just head over to anchor.fm/HLTV. One moment. Hold up. I prepared a gag. On tonight's show, we are covering all the recent news, changes in Fnatic, PGL Stockholm, or is it IEM Cologne wrap-up and the tournament break? What it has in store. Dun, 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 dun. All right, that was my gag. I spent all day thinking about that. Thanks, guys. Okay, so
amazing.
Thank you,
Chad.
Thank you. All right, guys. On tonight's show, we're covering in the recent news the changes in Fnatic. Oh, I just did this. I'm fucking rereading my script. Anyway, Prof, Striker, and Lucas are all joining me this evening. Lucas, he's the producer. He's also a party animal, and he likes to keep the show afloat. Now, Lucas, what are the weather conditions looking like down there on the sidelines of the podcast today?
I don't know. This I keep inside in the dark.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so yeah, we're not losing any frames. The internet seems to be good. All the equipment's everywhere. Audio levels are great. Okay, cool. That's all we wanted to hear. Can you confirm or deny that you are in fact the Danish League's Twitter or a contributor to it?
No comment.
Exactly. That's what I thought.
Classic
Lucas,
silent confirmation.
I'm actually definitely not, because it's kind of a joke on the Danish scene sometimes. Just like the
that you are?
No. That I'm not.
Well,
It's
it's,
a-
all right.
it's,
What about
kind of
this?
a joke,
What about this?
Danish
Are you Don Hassey then?
No comment.
No comment. See,
No
He's,
silence, yeah.
we worked it out. We fucking stumped him here. Prof, I just want to get your clarification: tournament break or player break?
Definitely the tournament break.
And what were you eating?
Cevapcici.
And did your doorbell ring about 7 minutes ago?
Approximately.
Okay.
And I finished it easily. So
All right, you've nailed it.
Easy.
You've nailed it. Striker, are you going on holidays? You doing anything? You going to go out anywhere? Do anything with your time?
Oh, actually, no. I have to stay home.
Oh, okay.
to
All right.
babysit the website.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
You
Well,
can find anyone to babysit it. So
you've got your leg tied to the office desk.
My question to you, Chad, is now.
Yeah.
When you do these special intros, obviously you did some prep this time, but like when you come up with it, how long before the show is that? Is just like the 5 seconds before you go live, or is it just like more time before that?
So this is what happened. I streamed somehow for 9 hours today, and I looked around my room and I went, "This place is a fucking tip," because I got home on Monday and I didn't finish unpacking, or actually unpack at all. So then I unpacked everything, I put everything away, I set everything up for the podcast, and then I sat down and I went, "I suppose I should write something up so I don't seem like such a daft cunt." And then as I was writing up, I thought, what could be funny? And I'm kind of in like an entertaining mood because I've been doing stuff today. So it kind of, I don't know. It was about like 15 minutes before. So,
Okay.
yeah, not too far before.
For a second there, it just looked like you just came up with it like right on the spot.
Oh,
You started
yeah.
shouting, "It's time!"
That I wrote that down because I think I was watching the UFC on the weekend or whatever, right? You know that guy that gets loud and proud. I forget his name. Everyone knows who I'm talking about. Anyway, we're dragging on. Oh wait, I gotta click this button. Reload frame. Lucas is my. What do you mean? Recent news. Roll the bumper. All right, we're back. Don't have a heart attack. It's all going down. And we're going to be talking about something here off the bat, which I want to preface immediately is kind of sad. JW, one of the legends, one of the members of the original Fnatic roster who won DreamHack 2013, the first CSGO major, almost a lifelong Fnatic member, besides a little pit stop where he left the team, is out. He's been dropped. And Fnatic are going international. So this one here, it is sad to lose JW, but Prof, off the bat, I'll let you run away with this. I'm not really a surprise, huh?
No, not really. I mean, we've been talking about this for 2 months almost. Golden JW definitely on the chopping block for Fnatic. But if they didn't manage to turn things around, and they didn't, they were. I don't know how it actually happened, because they're an ESL partner team, but they didn't get invited to Cologne as a part. Oh, actually, the Cologne isn't really like
You
that.
got to qualify.
Yeah, you got to qualify. Doesn't matter. So they didn't get there. Didn't really have a chance to prove anything on LAN, and maybe we'd see something a bit better, but probably not enough anyway. So these two changes that they made with Golden and JW, kind of expected, even though definitely sad. Yeah,
I'm surprised it didn't happen at the same time, but obviously I guess they were working things out. Now I just linked Lucas a link here of Fnatic's results so far in this year 2021. They played 47 maps, they won 17 and they lost 30. Right, if you go through, you can see the matchups that they won early on in CS Summit 7. That was at the start of the year back in January. They won a couple of series.
Wins, huh?
Yeah, so like if you go straight to more recent history, like lots of losses, like NIP, VP, Fiend, Complexity, Mouse Sports, EPG Family. They got a win over Extremum, which I don't think anybody is excited about these days. Mouse Sports, another loss. You know, you just keep going. It looks pretty bleak here. Now, Striker, the international part of this, I think, is probably the most interesting part, because people in recent history don't think of Fnatic as a team to dip into other nationalities. How much do you put into that? Do you think this is something that they have to do because the Swedish scene isn't deep? And if you think it is, who have they got their eyes on? Because there's some rumors right now.
I actually don't know what the actual rumors are for who could join Fnatic. Obviously, there was that MHL thing, but I think that was a kind of like a far that was kind of a stretch in my eyes. I don't think that's going to be happening.
Okay,
it's hard to say. I definitely don't think that they have much to choose from when it comes to Sweden. So it's kind of obvious that they will go international, and it's something that they actually wanted to do even before they got this team essentially put together, like way back, because at the time they actually had a Danish team, or at least majority Danish for a while, right? When they had
Zipex.
Those Zipex at the time,
Carrigan,
and some of these people. Yeah, I just can't remember the exact lineup.
Trace and Modi.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe. That's
like the last
could be
Fnatic
1.6.
lineup that was like the best in 2012, like when was like the transitional period. That was like that, pretty much that lineup, right?
Yeah.
So like obviously they've had some history with going towards the Danish players, so maybe that's something that they want to do again. Obviously, there's, considering the language difference not being that big for a lot of these players, it's not that difficult to kind of understand each other. So that seems like a good transitional step, I guess. But hard to know what the exact players could be at this point. I think it's just very difficult to see, like, because they need an in-game leader, then they need an AWPer, right? And
well, Jacquinho's the AWPing, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Because
so I'm with you. It's a bit weird though.
Yeah, because they've obviously were throwing around that the role a little bit, so it might not be Jacquinho in the end. Could be, actually. Yeah, you're right. So it's hard to say, but the in-game leader part is the most important, right? Like, obviously there are some people who are available. Like, if you look at MSL, Alex, I guess, are the two biggest candidates right now for that spot, because, like, who else? I can't even think of anybody else who could take that in-game leadership step. I mean, we have Flusha has a team, so even though that team has kind of been just disappeared off the face of the planet in the past couple of months, but he still has a team. So
yeah, and he is contracted. It's not like a mixed team. That there's actually an org behind it, even though it hasn't been revealed yet.
It's one of these. What was the one before Godsent joined? What were they called?
Smash.
That's the one. It's one of those situations. Yeah,
seems like it for sure.
I mean, and also just tying on to the IGL situation. Obviously, that is the first priority when adding someone to Fnatic right now. And if you don't find a Swedish IGL, you don't want to find a fourth player that is Swedish and then have 4 Swedish players and then foreigner. That doesn't really make sense. The only team that you can actually look towards, and we kind of forgot about it in the past, is Dignitas, and they have Heap, who is kind of maybe a player that could play on this level, and Lecro is there if they want to bring him back. So that could be in theory something they could do.
Yeah,
who could also in-game lead and do all of this, but I don't think that is. I mean, they said they want to go international, and Dignitas probably doesn't want to get rid of these players. So that is the route.
Look, the MSL one to me probably makes the most sense, because I think because they're doing this whole academy thing again now, right? This whole international thing, to me, if you brought in MSL and you had him in game lead, we know MSL puts in a strong system, which is something Fnatic haven't had forever. I would say, what version of Fnatic in recent history since 2013 would we say have had a strong system? I don't think we would say any of them. I think that recently they tried to do that and it didn't work. So having MSL come in, you could have a strong system. Like, he could get all that off the ground for you, and then they could even transition him into the future into something else, or they could use that for their academy rosters and have their players come up through that. So I think that makes sense. And I think when you're a player like MSL and you spend so much time away from the game, like he has now, at least competitive officials, he gets a different look. So maybe when he goes, man, if I was MSL and I knew that I was getting Crimson Brawl, like, they're two players who I think would play well in a system. It was all the other guys who didn't play well in a system, like Flusha and JW, right? Like, so it's an interesting one there.
I don't think MSL has worked with players on that level, by the way. At least not Brolan at this point. Like, just trying to remember, like, some of these. Obviously, he's
like
he's
the
had
Kirby's and
he's had
AZs.
Valde and Asim, he has Kirby, but those guys were, but those guys, sure. Those guys, obviously, it's been a while since they were on that peak, I guess. And at the time, that was true, actually. But in recent memory, like, it's not even close, right? To some of these players that he had under him. So I guess a good refresher for him, if that's where Fnatic end up going. That's for sure. I definitely agree with the Fnatic need a more drastic change than just like getting a couple of new players and playing under essentially the same system, which has obviously been outdated. And even though Fnatic have been kind of making it work in an era that doesn't really fit this style, at least obviously apart from like maybe the last year or so when they had to go online and it kind of all fell apart. But until that point, I think even though their playstyle was outdated, they were able to make it work, but that's just not been the case anymore. So I think that's where the biggest change needs to come in my eyes. Even though MSL doesn't necessarily seem like a big firepower upgrade over Golden, it's probably not going to be a big difference there. There's definitely a very big difference in terms of the place or the leading style.
Yeah, I think when you had JW and Golden, who both weren't performing very well, like, you've got two things that you can look to blame. or two things that you can look at causes as why things aren't going well, right? So if you can just make sure that you have a stronger individuals coming in, and then the classic in-game leader syndrome can continue, that's fine. But you need 4 strong players around that, right? Just to give them something to sink their teeth into. But it's just a shame. Like, I thought Sweden was getting out of this. Like, I thought we were getting out of the thing where we were like, oh, Swedish Counter-Strike, who gives a fuck? Like, NIP now, the fact that they have device, well, there's rumors, you know, this whole Dupree thing. We'll get into that later in the show.
Just imagine if they went with the like Lycra Drake and angle. That's just like the revolving door of a Swedish Counter-Strike, man. That would be so rough.
Oof, I hope they don't do that. I hope they don't do that.
Are if this ends up being MSL, does that feel a bit disappointing? Like,
who are you going to get as an in-game leader?
I know, but like this like MSL AZ rumor to Fnatic, like that doesn't really excite me that much. Like that
will take AZ out of there. I don't.
That
want
can
AZ
be like
there.
a top 5 team. I don't think it can be a top 5
top
team.
5 in Sweden, yeah, probably. Like, what are they going for? Do Fnatic want to go for like?
So that's the thing. We don't really know, but I guess if they just want to be like a top 20 team, then that is fine. But much more than that, it's hard for me to see.
I would like from that angle. I'd definitely like to rather. I would see Alex as the only upgrade, though. If you think about it, though, like who else can they get in terms of in-game leaders that are available? And that would be good for the team,
But
right?
look,
like essentially, it's just those 2 options at this point. I feel like.
Now, look, if you're Samuelson or Khan or whoever's making the decisions over there at Fnatic, now this is absolutely like I know a little bit more of what went on in Cloud9 than most, right? Obviously, because of my living situation. But if you're looking at the Cloud9 situation with Alex there, and you're standing back as one of these teams, are you going to look at Alex as a guy who you think, yeah, he's going to come in and turn an international roster into something successful? Like, I know they already have.
But what makes you think that MSL can? Like, he's never done it before.
Well, yeah, okay, true. I get that's a fair call. I just think that like we know MSL has a strong foundation, and if they want to build for the future, yeah.
And he built a lot of teams. Like Alex's whole career is a bit in LDLC and then Vitality. And Vitality was already a team assembled when he joined, so he just like came into the team and then kind of grew into the in-game leader role. Or he did it 50-50 from the start. I don't really remember, but it's not like he built a team, and it's not like he had so many different experiences. I'm not really shitting on Alex. I definitely think he still has potential to be a great in-game leader, but you look at MSL and he played with like 50 different players, and most of those teams that he was in were like decent at least. So maybe the Fnatic is like, oh, maybe this could be enough for us right now.
I can see the angle.
Yeah,
I just
and
don't see
so
how that's going to take them like that to like be on the top 10 essentially, right?
Definitely, I don't see that either.
Okay, we'll probably come back to this because we've got a lot of roster rumors to discuss towards the
tail. MSL was in Rogue. That was just so I can check.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, went to North America. All right, next piece of news. We're going to jump into EPL being online. I've got the link here, Lucas. Let me flick you that one here. Now, I was hearing murmurs of this towards the tail end of Cologne, IEM Cologne, and I was like, oh man. But look, boys, I know I talk a lot, but let me give everybody a story. You guys kind of got the gist of it in our little Discord channel, but I want to give everybody else the understanding here. So first and foremost, let's just talk about what the news it is. Season 14 of EPL was meant to be taking place in Malta, which is where was meant to take place for the last 3 seasons, actually. But we all know this COVID situation is rearing its head again. I'm not going to talk like an expert on this, and I say this every time. All right, so people in the comments who are like listening to SPUNJ talk about COVID hurts my brain. It hurts my brain too. I don't know. You don't know. Shut the fuck up.
Just keep it short then.
No, this is going to be long because this is a personal anecdote, right? This is a personal experience that is something that I can attest to as to why we're not in Malta. Let me explain to everybody at home what happened 2 Fridays ago. It was Friday the 9th. At about 4:50 in the afternoon, Henry linked an article to Alex and I believe. And it was the fact that Malta, at that point, at like 4:50 on a Friday afternoon, when the government stuff is closed for the next couple of days, fucking dumb cunts, sent out this news saying that the country was not going to be allowing anybody in who was not vaccinated. Now, whatever you think about that, I don't care. That's not the point of this conversation. At that point, in the news article that was in the Times of Malta, they put an email on the Times of Malta there for you if you were a resident, which I am, to email to see what the situation was. Alex and I both emailed that within an hour of that news coming out. They hadn't even registered the email that they put out publicly for us to contact them to see what we would do while we were abroad. So then we have 3 days of stress. We get talking to ESL immediately. We're like, ESL, they're not going to let us back into our own country if we're not vaccinated, right? So I've already had one AstraZeneca shot. Alex hadn't been vaccinated at all. We tried to organize for both of us to go to Germany from Poland for 1 day to get vaccinated so that we could go home at the end of the event. By the time Monday rolled around, they rolled the restrictions back a little bit and they said, you can come home, but you have to quarantine for 2 weeks, which would have fucked me because my second vaccination is soon. And everybody knows once you have your second vaccination, 2 weeks is out on top of that. And then it would have overlapped with Pro League, which I'm working, and I would not have been able to get to because it would have been over that threshold of time. So I would have been stuck here in Malta because of this. So I was like, I just have to go to Germany. I can't go home. I couldn't even get my second vaccination of AstraZeneca in another country because Malta said they wouldn't recognize it, even though I would have been vaccinated. So I'm jumping through all these bullshit loopholes and I'm trying to email and have conversations and work shit out while working the finals of this event, stressing my fucking mind out. And then come Wednesday that week, they rolled it all back. I was in multiple emails and they said, sir, you can come back into the country as long as you have a negative PCR test and proof that your flight was booked before the restrictions changed. So the fact that ESL cannot get the event in Malta, right there, just listen to the things I said, how unorganized this place is. If it surprises any of you that in a month's time that this event can't happen in Malta, I would be surprised, guys, because this place here, it's a fucking clown fiesta out there. They don't even know what the fuck's going on. So
to be honest, it's not just Malta. This is literally everywhere. Everyone's just changing rules all the time. So it's very hard to plan anything. Just it. So even if you want to say, oh, why don't they just do it in German? It's not like Germany is super perfect and isn't going to change anything in like 2 weeks. Like everything changes on a weekly basis almost, depending on what's going on. So who knows?
And you also have to realize how hard it is logistically to move something from one place to another, right? Like on a relatively last minute. Obviously, we're a month away almost, but it's still like three to 4 weeks is not a lot of time to book, like to find somebody who's actually willing to host your event if you don't have a place in Germany. Obviously, I don't know what the deal is there with ESL, but they use the hotel for this one, right? So like maybe that's not an option anymore and stuff like that. It's just like within 3 weeks, it's very difficult. Like you also have to get the players back to their homes from Cologne. You realize you can't hold it in Malta and you want to get them back into Cologne. Like this is not an easy thing to do in these times. Like when you want to get 24 teams, 120 players, plus coaches, blah, 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 150 people, let's say, to one country. Like it's not going to be easy. So that's just something to keep in mind.
I'm surprised we didn't get the update from the world rankings of who the last few teams are for the event, right? Because those world rankings were meant to be with the 19th. So maybe that's still to come. And maybe some of the teams like Renegades, for example, might not be able to get out because I think they're just finishing their quarantine now. But just on this, just quickly, because I just bashed on Malta, I kind of want to like back them up a little bit because I do live here. The fact that this is a really small island with really poor infrastructure because there's only 500,000 people here. So if COVID did kick off and a lot of people were getting sick, this would be the last place you want to be because there's only very few hospitals. And I think there's quite the aging population here. So like in terms of Malta closing the borders, I understand it's self-preservation. This is about safety, right, guys? So like we'll put that ahead. It's just really difficult right now to get this shit going. So look, it sucks. It really sucks. I think because of the time frame of everything getting moved with the dates, that kind of compounded everything. And also the fact that we couldn't like have the playoffs a bit more detached from the group stage, then maybe we could have tried to work at having the playoffs on LAN when it's less teams. But yeah, man, like it's like a slap in the face, you know? It's like a slap in the face for everybody because we just had a LAN and everybody was excited. We had some really good games. Like we had some great storylines. It was really cool. And now we're just being kicked in the dick. You know, there's just an absolute boot straight up the nuts. Yeah. You feel it in your stomach. And it's like, we have to go back to one line. And I don't know, man. We're going to talk about Cologne. And I'm sure this topic about online versus LAN will come up there. But yeah, it's just unfortunate for everybody. It's just unfortunate for everybody. It sucks for everyone. And, you know, I see a lot of people like getting mad at ESL for this, and that's fine. Like you can direct the anger at them, but like it hurts them more than anybody. Like the event is more prestigious and there's more viewers and everybody enjoys it more when it's on LAN. We all want it to be on LAN, you know. So let's just fucking cool our jets and hopefully this shit changes eventually.
I mean, if they wanted to, I'm sure if they could, if it was possible logistically and all that, like I'm sure they would love to have it online and just like continue that narrative, right? That like we're back online. This is what matters, right? Like that's what Cologne was all about, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure they
So now it's
would
gonna
love to do that.
be low key. This doesn't matter. ESL,
that's
just
true.
ESL about ESL Pro League, which I don't know. It's gonna be what it's gonna be, especially with the whole player break. Are we gonna see any changes? It's gonna be pretty weird, the whole event. But we'll talk about that in like 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
The second topic is people are asking in the chat is like, does this mean no major? Because I guess the PGL Stockholm news is next on the ticket. I don't think it means no major, especially because different countries have different regulations and all of that. In theory, you never know what's going to happen, but from like a TLDR of what PGL said, it really felt like, as Striker, you commented in our Discord, it really felt like they're just setting the scene for them, saying like, we can't really do it in Stockholm because of these and these reasons. So I don't know where to take it from that.
I think all the news, because there's been a lot of murmurs, right? Like a lot of Swedish news was getting involved in this. And for those of you who maybe aren't keeping up with all of the esports in Sweden, obviously TI was meant to be held in the same place. And then that's had to be moved to Bucharest. Now, just a quick little bit of history. PGL are a Romanian company, right? They've been a Romanian company forever. Run by Silvia over there. He's the CEO, and for them to be able to move TI to Bucharest, and I think it's the place. I think they announced the place they're doing it in, right? It's more of an outdoor stadium type situation.
It's a football stadium.
Yeah, so it's obviously like it's huge for them to be able to try and make this happen in the first place, and then the fact that they're priming us to potentially do that with the Counter-Strike Major. Personally, I don't know how the two of you feel. I made a string of tweets about this the other day. But logistically, this is not easy, first of all, with all the COVID restrictions we just touched on. Second of all, even just having an event in this type of climate, right, is were you having people coming in going, oh, but football's doing it and this is doing it. Yeah, okay, fine. Right, it's different kettle of fish. Again, we've had this conversation a shitload of times. But long story short, let me fucking fast forward this. The fact that PGL have come out and they've said that they're still going to try and work with Stockholm to make it happen, I can respect that. But Striker, let's be honest. If they're this flimsy now and we are about 3 months out, what odds are you putting on this? What percentage would you put on this happening in Stockholm?
Not a lot. I think that was just such a prelude to them actually moving the event, that whole statement, because they kind of refer to like a short window of opportunity to move it to a different location, and that like kind of speaks to like the timeline that we're looking at here. Like they probably have like a matter of weeks to decide whether to do it in like this other location, which we imagine is just going to be Romania, right? So that's kind of that's what I'm expecting to happen within the next couple of weeks for sure.
Now, I kind of want to talk to our American listeners, and if there are any of you, hello. I was going to say good day. I should say howdy, y'all. I don't completely understand the situation in North America or America, USA. I'm kind of speaking out of my ass a little bit here, but I have read some comments on the internet, whether it be on HLTV or Reddit or Twitter. And a lot of Americans seem a bit baffled that the fact that we're not all vaccinated. Just from my understanding, a lot of European countries have done it with the, obviously, first of all, the most vulnerable demographic, and then they've gone down in tiers of age, right? And I would say only recently is it getting to the point where we can have vaccinations for people of all ages. It only opened up that you could do clinic vaccinations here in Malta on Monday. I know in Germany, for example, they were still working their way down the list until a couple of weeks ago, where it opened up for clinic vaccinations in private doctors. It hasn't been very open in Europe. In Australia, it's very restricted. I know that. My family are telling me that back down under. I would say in a lot of these third world countries, vaccines are very few and far between. So even though America, you guys are fucking killing it, and I gave you guys a lot of shit when you guys were making some decisions in the beginning, but recently you guys are killing it, right? The rest of us, we're not. So bear with us. We're getting it together. and hopefully we're going to be good for this major, because I think ZywOo and PGL, they obviously want to put on this event. We all want to see this event. We haven't had a major in 2 years now, guys. We're gagging for it, right? We are thirstier than an 18-year-old on a Friday night looking for some. I'm not going to say the word I was going to say.
For booze, obviously.
Looking for a good time. All right, so. So let's just keep our fingers crossed. Let's just monitor the world here. Everybody do what you think is right. I'm not going to tell people what to do, but let's just hope and pray. We got anything else we want to say on this one?
Not really. I guess just to mention one of the things that really they pointed out in that article as well, or the statement, is that the event essentially needs to happen in front of an audience. Otherwise, that's not it, right? That is one of the things that needs to happen. Of course, they could have done it in Stockholm and as a hotel event or like a studio event, but that is not the point.
Yeah, and there was the other thing, right? I think this was publicized, and Striker, you bring this up all the time. The RMR event before it has to be on LAN, right?
I'm not entirely sure that that's still the case. Like when they announced the 2021 circuits, I think that reference kind of like disappeared, or at least they didn't seem.
They didn't reinforce it.
Yeah, at least they didn't seem as hell bent on that particular condition. So I'm not entirely sure. But I mean, if you look at how like it's developing in terms of the RMR and in terms of the schedule, I don't know if this is something that we wanted to talk about later on, but I guess not. Like we don't even know where the RMRs are going to fit in. Like it seems like there might be just like space for one, not two, as it was supposed to be, right?
I envision it'll be like the Road to Rio RMRs, where all of them will run simultaneously.
Right.
That's what I see happening, or at least as close to as possible.
But CIS is like ahead by one, right? Compared to weights.
Well, no, everywhere could have up to 3 RMR events.
Yeah, I'm just saying that that CIS already has 2, right? And they're the only ones, though.
They should. Well, I'd say they'd run another one, I would assume, but I would say that the other regions won't. I'd say that all the other regions just run one.
Just do one,
which is kind of going to cuck a lot of people here. I can say that there should be news on that soon. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
I can't say more.
Cool.
I can just say soon. So just keep your ears pressed to the ground, everybody.
Something.
I've heard some murmurs. News about that is coming.
Sure.
All right. ESEA support Fragadelphia NA LAN circuit. I missed this. Prof, you chucked the news in here. What's going on with this?
In.
It's nice.
I thought it was pretty nice. I mean, we didn't talk about like the first announcement of Fragadelphia even coming back and doing LANs, like they're doing their classic like Fragadelphia main LAN, but also having like 4 lead up LANs to that across other NA cities, US cities, I presume.
Right.
And adding on to that, then that was a 35K tournament, the main Fragadelphia event.
Okay.
But then ESEA came out and added 25K to that prize pool. And additionally to that, the cash cups were turned into qualifiers for Fragadelphia, and like not really qualifiers because you can just show up and play, I guess. But they added like travel support for teams for the winning teams of the ESEA cash cups. So that's all kind of a cool ecosystem thing for NA to have like decent tournaments also on LAN, support the smaller teams. So I think it's just like a cool thing worth mentioning.
Okay. I just want to say this about North American Counter-Strike for a second here, guys, because we've obviously lost a big portion of them to the Valorant, right? The ones who are sticking around and the next generation to come, right, are going to be hungry, and they're going to be the ones who actually want to play counter. They're the ones who actually like our game enough to not do it for the paycheck because it's something that they enjoy. So the next generation of North American Counter-Strike players that we have coming up are going to be fraggers. They're going to be keepers. They're going to be the ones that we want, right? That's what we want. So this next gen, let's fucking give them all the love we can. And these are really nice initiatives. So anything we can give North America, y'all have very big sponsorship budgets. So we're going to be nice to y'all, all right, cowboys. Who wants to be a
everybody not from Texas? Just
they all sound like that, man. That's what Trace and Jason sound like.
Jason.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Who wants to be a skinionaire? Who's doing? Who's our victim? Don't
Striker.
Because it's me.
Thank God, I'm glad it's not me. All right, I wasn't ready to answer some fucking questions.
Is this me, Lucas, or is this?
I think we're doing the same thing. I think
is this all the same thing?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
This is all you. This is all you.
Okay.
All right, so just a quick one for everybody playing at home. Who wants to be a skinionaire? This is based on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but not really. But not really. So what's going to happen here is we have the same skins. I think eventually we'll get some new skins. I opened that that USP the other day. Long story short, Striker's going to answer 5 questions. If he gets all 5 questions right, somebody in chat will win a $50 skin.
I won't,
if he
by the
gets
way.
4 right, someone will win a $15 skin. If he gets 3 right, somebody will win a $7.50. 2 right, $2.50. 1 right, you get a 50-cent skin. You guys in the chat get an opportunity to win thanks to Bitskins. So let's do it. Who wants to be a skinionaire? Take it away, Lucas. Question 1. Which of the following teams is playing WePlay's Academy League? I'll say the question again. Which of the following teams is playing WePlay's Academy League? MIBR Tomorrow, Furia Academy, or More Pain?
I like more pain, man. This is a good question. It's Furia Academy though. I don't think the other two are actually a team, right?
We had to do some easier questions to set things up. I also really liked More Pain. Like for an
More
academy,
pain.
Yeah, that's
So
not
good.
bad.
academy team, that would be amazing.
Lucas, what do they have to type in chat? Is it bitskins.com to enter? Just Bitskins, not bitskins.com. Just type Bitskins. If you're doing bitskins.com, you're not entering. Okay, you got the first one right. Question 2. Lucas, have a bit more pep in your step. I heard you like to party, bro. All right. Number 2. Who is the youngest of the following players? Ooh, is it A, Axel, B, Buster, or C, Uncle Chop Chop, aka Chopper?
This is such bait
Is it though?
that it's meant to be Exile.
He just said it's easier.
That's what I'm saying. But it seems so relatively obvious to me that I feel like it can't be that. So that's kind of like where my head is at. So I'm thinking it's Exile, but then again,
It's a double pump fake.
double pump fake.
Walk out, B-App, some Mirage.
And
with
then
the
they've left
bomb.
I don't think
Shiro with the
I think it's
bomb.
either either Chopper or Exile. I don't think it's Buster. I think it's
Dude, Chopper has a fucking beard bigger than
I know,
mine.
but I think he's actually quite young. But maybe I'm just super off. But I feel like it's Exile. I'm just gonna go with Exile because that was like my first instinct, and I don't know if it could be either of the two.
Click it.
I'm gonna click it. Let's go.
Correct.
Okay, it is.
2 out of 2, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We're
What's
moving
the
into
difference,
question
Prof?
number
You
3
don't-
right now.
19, 21, 24.
Oh, he
something
is
like
so
that.
much
yeah.
older. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice,
Cool.
nice. Question 3. Which sniper was the second highest rated player at IEM Cologne? Was it A, James, B, Shiro, or C, Dexter? Dun, 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 dun,
I don't-
dun, dun. I know the answer to
Trying
this
to
one.
remember. I don't know the answer, for sure. I just don't remember who. I feel like it's like my initial instinct is James.
You want to phone a friend, and the friend can be me,
Um,
and I'll help you get this one right, so we can give the viewers something nice.
I'm just going through the motions. I don't think it's Shiro. I feel like it could be a baity question and it's Dexter, even though Spirit didn't do so hot. But I have a feeling it's James. So chat if you want to confirm or deny.
It's Dexter.
It is Dexter? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with Dexter then. It's teamwork on that one. There you go.
Phone a friend. That's what the lifelines are for. I'm here for the people in chat. Thumbs up for the men's. All right. Question 4. How much does the cheapest firearm in CSGO cost?
Cheapest
200?
firearm.
Does this include the Zeus, Prof?
No, firearm. Zeus isn't a firearm.
Okay.
Fire
200,
needs to have a bullet,
250,
right?
300.
I mean, okay, now I'm.
He's actually made the question too easy this week.
Or
I'm
did
just trying to pick. Yeah, I'm just trying to.
Well, this
because, like,
one's a
I'm
bit of
getting,
a trick.
You know, by what I'm
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
baited by P250, right? And
Yeah.
I'm just like, wait a second, but it's not 250 actually, right?
Yeah, but
It's
what
the-
else can you buy
That's
that you
firearm.
spawn with?
Firearm
That
is
you can
the
buy what you spawn.
really?
You can't.
Oh, yeah,
use,
you can.
You can't use
Okay.
that twice, Chad. You can't use that twice.
Okay,
I
I'll
don't
get
know,
it.
man. I
But
didn't.
it is
he's
the.
just like-
I guess it's. It is the
Look,
like
it's
a USP,
coming out
right?
of my salary anyway,
and the
boys.
Glock
Don't
as
worry.
well.
Okay, I would have.
Chad,
I
Chad
would
is
have
that
actually
guy
gone
that
with
was
300
like
because of that.
coughing in behind
Yeah.
in the studio.
Okay, I didn't actually. Wasn't actually aware that you. Yeah, I guess you can buy it. Yeah.
The men's are loving this. The men's are loving it. All right, question 5. How many number 1 players of a year are currently contracted to teams in top? Oh my God, this is hard. How many number 1 players of a year are currently contracted to teams in the top 10 of the world rankings as of right now? Holy shit.
Well, simple as one. Number 1. Who else was number 1? Not Cold Zero. Not Get Right. Not Olaf. Not ZywOo. Is Vitality top 10 is my question. Vitality.
25 seconds.
This
Wait,
is
one
a
sec,
hard
one
one.
sec,
Oh
one
my
sec.
god.
Is he? Fuck. Did Vitality go to top 10 or did they drop out?
You can't.
Oh shit! Penny just dropped.
Huh?
Oh fuck!
You've got 10 seconds.
Okay, I'm just gonna
I
go.
think
I'm
Proc
just gonna
may
go
have
with
fucked up
2.
here.
I think it's simple and ZywOo, right?
I did
Oh
actually.
wait, who am I missing?
You got it wrong anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Who am I missing?
Olaf.
So you missed Olaf, and you also missed.
I'm an idiot, man.
You also missed Coldzera. So
Is-
this
is
is
he-
technically
It's
4.
technically 4, you think?
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I forgot about Olaf.
'Cause
and
we
then
put the
making
wrong
to
answers. Are
top
we
10. I'm
giving
an
the-
idiot.
Yeah,
Man.
because
Are
I
we
didn't-
giving?
I actually missed Vitality being in top 10. I
Are
thought
we
they were
giving away
11.
the 50 because we fucked
I
it
think
up?
we need to give away the 50.
We're giving away the 50. It's
There we
holidays. It's tournament break. It's summer life. You've done it, men's. You've entered. Now Lucas will
Needed
draw
a
a
lot
winner.
of help with that one.
Lucas will draw a winner. You guys will win. We're not doing this every week. That's it. That's the only one we're giving you guys. That's all you get. Someone wins a skin. It's worth 50. Lucas will sort it out. We'll do the draw. Can we keep it moving, Lucas? Fuck, I'm getting fired after this. Is there a bumper? Do we need to roll some ads? Okay.
I even said Olaf and just passed him by.
Yeah,
like
it's
like
not
he wasn't in a.
It's not
Like-
Olaf. It's not
Yeah.
Coldzera.
All right. Everyone calm down. I want people at home to stop spamming Bitskins now. Or you keep spamming Bitskins. I don't give a fuck, actually. I need to take a breath. Give me a second. Everyone just chill. Just take a deep breath. I want you guys to all reflect in the moment. We did it. We made it. We made it through Who Wants to Be a Skinionaire.
So
It's happened.
by the way, while we're doing this, I low-key promised people that I'll pitch a men's t-shirt, like
Oh, yeah?
MANS,
Yeah.
smiley face,
Okay.
to Martin, but I didn't do it yet. So apologies on that. And I promise I will do it by the end of the month. And maybe,
What's it going to look like?
I don't know. It's like whatever people want it to look like.
Here's a better idea. What if we do this? People at home who are watching right now, if you're savvy at all with designs or anything like that, men's, if you don't know the HLTV.org fucking men's, go on the forums, try and stay away from the threads that are talking shit about me or any of my colleagues and look for men's. All right. Now, I think just like a little men's, just men's, right? Nothing too crazy, but design something at home. See what you come up with. And we'll see if Martin can get some printed and shipped out of his sweatshop that he has. I think Martin's got like 4 kids, right? So it's probably just fucking, he's probably got all of them working on it. He's got Lucas in there. He fucking got Hunden on speed dial, right? They're making it all. They're doing it all. It's all happening. All right, where are we at? Cologne. Oh, let's just quickly talk about the skin thing as well if we're talking about designs. We may as well. We may as well just talk about this.
Why not?
Lucas, can you bring this up for everybody playing at home? So for our audio only listeners, what I'm bringing up is a piece in news. Valve launched a $1 million workshop contest, and basically it's called Dreams and Nightmares. You can head over to, they have a page for it, where basically you're submitting skins and they're going to pick 10 winners. Each of the winners are going to be winning 100,000. You can collaborate with other people to make these skins and whatever. It's set to begin today, and you have until the 21st of October. So, guys, if you want to use your noggins, right, use your heads, the 21st of October, right, and then it's going to be chosen by the 21st of November. If you use your head, that would probably tell you that the next big operation we're going to have is probably around Christmas time or early next year, right? Use your heads. They're giving you clues. So if you want to enter that, or if you're interested, or if you have a friend or something like that who likes to do this shit, head on over there. They say you can edit. I think they're saying you can edit current designs. Did you guys read into this at all?
You can adapt like whatever is already in the game.
Yeah. So I think that'd be cool. Have a little bit of a look. I know there was some people complaining about this because they were like, oh, well, when you normally get a skin in the thing, you get like the revenue, like over time for opening the skins. But here's what I'm going to say. You get to enter a competition for free where you could win $100,000
for
every
PNG.
one that you get in. Actually, you could get even more in.
So I get it. It's not the same system that maybe you used to, but Valve are going to give you $100,000. Okay, 100 grand. Cool. I'm glad we covered that. You're gonna get taxed up the wazoo because it's America, but anyway, enjoy that. Cologne, finish. We enjoyed it. We had a good time. Navi won. Gambit didn't. Is that the news? That's not really the news. All right, Striker, how did you feel? What were your general takeaways from IEM Cologne 2021?
Well, we had a show after the groups, right? And we've
we're going to do the whole thing
that part.
regardless,
Okay.
right?
Fair
We'll do the
enough.
whole thing regardless, but yeah, we'll do a bit more focus on the playoffs. But just in terms of actually getting the event, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's been the event that I've watched the most of in a long time.
Okay.
And I still watch like a decent amount of the online events, but obviously not like the full of it. I tried to watch even like multiple streams at the same time during Cologne when there were multiple matches going on. Obviously, that's not the best way to watch matches, but just something that I wanted to do whenever it was possible. So just in general, I had a lot more interest in the tournament. So obviously, like the LAN return worked, like the whole narrative, it worked for me. I was definitely more excited about the event and kind of like about the storylines going into it and all of that. Definitely had me going.
Okay. Prof, you got any general takeaways? Anything that really hitting home?
I think that's the kind of similar vibe. It's just like all of the storylines kind of came together. Everything was exciting, you know, all of this small pieces from Kerrigan's interviews to whatever LAN return for Astralis. Can they do it? Navi, the Gambit, everything was like just exciting and it delivered. Most of the matches delivered as well. Maybe the Navi phase one didn't, but other than that, the playoffs were pretty good to watch. The grand final was great. 3 very close maps. Everything a man can wish for, right? So that's it.
What did you guys make of the trophy ceremony being outside? I know that there was a lot of cringe lords on Reddit who are like, "Oh, it's so weird that they're outside," and random people who don't know what they're doing are watching them. Right? Where else you want them to do it in the hotel where they have to wear masks and fucking lift a trolley in a ballroom, and then we have to play a fucking dry cleaning bill? You fucking. But like for me, when I read those comments, I was like, "Are you guys like what world are we living in right now? Do we live in the same universe or?"
The most important part is probably the Nico drinking champagne meme, which is just like the best one that I've seen in a long time, where he's just like doubting the massive bottle of champagne. I think that's a really good one. So I'm all for that.
I just want to let people know, right? That spot, they're in the Hyatt, which is other than the hotel that I stayed in for the last year, that ESL like fucking forked out trillions of dollars for us to stay in to do broadcasts from. The Hyatt is like the best hotel with the best view. Like that view of the cathedral, and there you have the limestone steps and the bridge and all that kind of, that is the fucking prime time real estate spot. That is such a banging spot. Like I think that's fucking awesome. Like I thought it was awesome that they did it there. I think it was really cool. I think like we did seem to have I don't know, it felt like a little bit longer delays. I don't know, but like, do you think it was length of games or like break? I know that what happened was from the playoffs and the group stage. The group stage, there was a lot more booths, so they could move the teams around. So like you were ready, right? There still has to be a set amount of time between end of game and start of game. But I know that when we moved it into the playoffs, they were only having certain booths used. So I think they packed up the other ones for, I don't know. I'm kind of talking about us here a little bit, but that's why we had longer changeover times. So that right there, I think it didn't feel that much longer, but I think the games, like the games were running over again. But did it?
I mean, to be fair, we had a lot of overtimes. We had shitloads of overtimes this tournament. Like we had almost like we had something like 23, I think was the final number or something like that, 21 maybe of overtimes, which is way above like any other events in recent times. So it's that's kind of goes hand in hand, obviously. And if you have so many close matches, I know people will say, "Oh, like recently we've had so many much closer matches." I'm not entirely sure that the stats actually support that, but either way, this tournament it obviously was in general a much longer matches on average.
What other like points like that did we hear? I'm just trying to reflect. We obviously had that whole discussion. We're not going to get into it now. I think the next show we're going to reflect on those things, and we'll be asking the people in our community to help us narrow down those topics. But were there any other topics like that cropped up that we missed? Like, was there anything that was, you know, anything that was major?
I don't really think much happened. It was just about like onliner teams, long games, and that's it. Viewership, blah blah. And in the end, the grand final had amazing viewership. So
it was like 800,000 or something, right?
Oh, the Shroud Co stream. Did you guys tune into any of that?
No, I actually didn't. I wanted to at some point, but I just forgot about it entirely during the finals. So I just forgot about it.
I've watched Shroud Co stream some of the Valorant stuff before. Just and the thing is, I think like obviously it's more like I think what that offers to people. I think Shroud Co streaming, like people that know that I've been vocal about the co streaming stuff before. I think having Shroud do it, somebody whose audience is not just Counter-Strike people, right? Shroud has, I watch Shroud play PUBG. He owns people. I watch, like, Shroud's a natural gamer, right? So has that kind of a user base. So having him bring in his fan base is showing people Counter-Strike who maybe wouldn't. So I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, obviously I couldn't watch it. Obviously I didn't get to see that. And it was interesting how it came about. So yeah, interesting. There was, yeah. All right. What else did they do? There's a couple of trailers. What did you guys think of my my script for the
Wizard of LAN?
The Wizard of LAN.
The Wizard of LAN was pretty funny, I have to say. Unexpected. I didn't know what was going on at the time.
It had me watching the entire time, so that tells you that you did a good job.
And then Moses showed up, and I'm like, oh, amazing! Yeah, this is very funny. I enjoyed that. And there's that nice playoff preview trailer that they did, but that also like included that absolutely not rememberable Shroud highlight, which no one remembers really. And at the point, it was kind of obvious that something was going on with Shroud. It's like they had to put it in there.
Yeah, I don't know how that came about. I don't know if they coincide at all. I can find out. I know what you say. It does seem a little bit fishy, right?
Yeah, right.
But I don't know. Because I saw like a preview of that like a week or two weeks before the event, like of what they were working on. I think maybe it was a week and a half. I don't know exactly. So maybe, I don't know. You're right. In terms of the grandeur of all the other plays there, it wasn't the same level, but I don't know. Maybe it was because of the casting. I don't remember the casting moment for that actually.
But maybe it just didn't have that event didn't have some great moments in terms of highlights. I don't know. Who knows?
Sure. Okay. Oh, someone's messaged me. Hold up. Nothing to do with the Shroud thing. It was just a play in 2017. There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that just came through on my phone right then.
Confirmed right there.
Yeah. Cool. I don't know if the guy who messaged me that wants me to shout it out, but I'm sure he'll message anyway if he says it's fine.
By the way, like while that sketch was going on, I noticed you were allowed to swear at that one, which was a refreshing thing. So you fucked up or like I don't know if it was an actual fuck up and you played on that in like the song whatever rehearsal type thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you actually fucked it up and you just ended up rolling with it or. But I liked that you had a bit of an F-bomb in there.
So the guy who at ESL works on all that stuff, Frank is his name, FGW Who or FGWHO on Twitter. Frank and I worked on the script together, and then we had Chloe. Obviously, she's done a whole bunch of the animation stuff for that. They've had her do all of those, and she came up like with all the animations for it, but. The song, like I kind of crowbarred the song in there. I was like, let's just do this fucking song. And then me and Rush are sitting in the recording booth doing it one day, and I actually fucked it up. Like we're sitting, and that's an actual fuck up. So I didn't know they just included it, right? So that was kind of cool. All right, enough sucking my own dick right now. Let's move forward. So reflecting on a couple of the big takeaways. Let's start with simple. Can we start with simple?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So I kind of want to frame this for everybody at home because this is a conversation that happens a lot, right? It's a conversation that you want to have with your mates down at the pub, and you're obviously not at the pub because we're all locked inside. But you know, in your team speak while you're playing Face It, you argue with a guy in the forums. You know, you're getting stuck into the other men's, right? About like who the greatest Counter-Strike player of all time is, right? And there's lots of different criteria. Maybe you're Danish and you like Device, so you use the Majors and the fact that he played in that team that won all those trophies and all those MVPs. Maybe you like the fact that ZywOo's come from like seemingly nowhere and then he's won 2 back-to-back HLTV World #1s. Or maybe you're crazy like me and you just fucking think Simple is the greatest player to ever touch the mouse and keyboard and just does shit you've never seen before, right? Where do you boys land on this, right? Because for me, Simple's my go.
I think skill wise, I would agree with that. I don't know if like, if I'd agree with that in general, like impact wise on his team and stuff like that every time. But like, I think skill wise, I don't think there's a question. I think ZywOo's an incredibly skilled player, I'm sure, but it's more like the consistency that he does it with and kind of like the reliability of him, right? But generally, like peak wise, I think Simple is better.
Yeah. What do you think, Prof?
I think like it all comes down to how you frame the discussion for the like greatest of all time. If you're talking about who accomplished the most in terms of trophies, then it goes to Device, right? For now, at least. And still in terms of MVPs, he still has number-wise he has more, it doesn't mean that Device's MVPs were more convincing or more important tournaments or bigger tournaments, right? Just in the amount of them he is in front. So maybe you can lean towards Device in that case. But yeah, if we're talking just like raw capability on the server, and I think just like how fun it is to watch him play when he plays that well, I think it goes to simple, right? So I'm not set either way. It just depends how you frame the discussion. That's the main thing.
Yeah, you can use any criteria you want,
Yeah.
right? To just like, and that's the thing. That's the cool thing about this conversation, guys. Like, it's and here's the better thing: the fact that we have so many amazing players all playing in the same era as one another, that we get to even have this debate. You know what I mean? Like, it would suck if we were right now having the conversation like, is simple better than Get Right, or like, you know, you can argue like the 1.6 days like Neo and Forest, whatever, right? You can do that kind of stuff, but it's kind of like the Michael Jordan versus LeBron thing. Like, no one's ever going to win that conversation. You guys can fucking argue till the cows come home about that stuff. The form that we saw on display here, Striker, is unusual, right? That he's like,
Even
you
for
know what I
Simple,
mean?
it's
That's what I
unusual,
mean.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beyond his own standards. I feel like I don't know how it ended up ranking in his own kind of performances, but I know it was very high up in terms of those even. So like, it's just something that's pretty much only Simple can do. I feel like, right? It's maybe like you can put ZywOo in that same conversation, but it's like nobody else can do this. Like literally nobody else. It's impossible for anybody else. It's just unimaginable. So I think, yeah, it was just incredible that it happened back on LAN. I'm not sure if that's what kind of brought it on, because that's obviously a big factor for a lot of people. People think like the overtimes and the number of aces are kind of like a byproduct of us going to LAN and everybody being a little bit more focused and excited and whatever that has to do with individual performance. I'm down to agree with that. I think it's definitely played a part. But it was just incredible that it happened all at the same time. So it's I love that.
So, okay, let's bring this. Oh yeah, go, Prof.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to the stats discussion. Like, this was the 6th best big event rating of all time. So this
Okay.
doesn't mean just like pure numbers. 1.51 rating. It's his 2nd best rating of all time. 1.52 was the DreamHack Masters event, Marseille, yeah, which actually he lost in the grand final
To Astralis, right?
To Astralis, and
Yeah.
that spurred on Astralis's like era in 2018. So, and above him, it's Nico and Rain from the ESL New York, when they dominated everyone, and that was a smaller tournament, 8 teams, not that many top teams, still a big event, but not the same level of prestige. Forest at another DreamHack at the Copenhagen Games in like whatever 2013,
Okay.
which isn't even rating 2.0, so maybe that can also be kind of put on the side. And I know who was the 4th, and it was ZywOo Epicenter 2019, which wasn't that competitive. If you look at the competitiveness of those like 6 events, it's definitely the DreamHack Marseille 2018 and ESL 1 Cologne are much more significantly more competitive than the rest.
Sure. This was quite interesting with that record. Now, I think Frankie's in the chat. If you still hear Frankie, correct me if I'm wrong, because either you asked him or the boys on the desk asked him. I'm not sure which one it was, about this ace record, right? Whether like he was aware of it, right? And he kind of like downplayed it. But when he got the ace in the final, he was fucking fired. Yes, Frankie did. He was fired up. I saw like he went from just like this to fucking.
This was like a
you
5v1. This was like a 5v1, so it was not a reaction to the round at all.
No.
Like, there was no way.
That last kill wasn't exciting at all. It was just purely let's get that fucking ace. I mean, he even said it after that he's told the rest of the team to like just chill, and he's gonna go and find the 5th, right? And he found it. Like, if I was on the other side, I'd just like run to B. I didn't give a fuck.
Try and crater or something.
Type kill in the console.
That's like the fact that like it's kind of fitting with the performance that he broke the record, and he had a couple of opportunities to do so as well. Like, he had a couple of 1v3 opportunities and shit where like he was fragging everybody. So yeah, Simple performance obviously great, but let's now put Simple to one side, as difficult as it is, Prof. But NAVI, they won the whole event. They 3-0'd G2, just like we left off in Katowice back in 2020. But the team, I don't want to say, like, back then they bulldozed them, right? This time they didn't bulldoze them, but it felt different, right? Like Navi look a bit different right now, like in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a part of it is just Bit. Bit has also been fucking amazing this tournament as a player that just came into the not just came in, but recently came into the top scene and is playing on his first big LAN. I think he had one HLTV LAN map before for some local tournament and somewhere. Who knows?
We don't count that.
Yeah, we don't really count that. Doesn't really matter. But obviously, he has been a great addition. And this like fucking insane simple to that. So I think that also helps just cover up any issues that they have in a team, right? Stuff like that is gonna help. But they did look overall pretty good, and now they're actually showing some consistency. If we look at the last like 5 events that they played, grand finals, won the last 2, one event earlier in the year, so it's looking like we can actually start to believe this Navi is going to stay here.
I remember at the end of Katowice in like 2020, and I'm making my very like, you know, because that NAVI who just bulldozed G2, I think I made a comment back then in the death segment. I was like, we got that it's like NAVI here, it's going to be like a new world order, right? Like, because like that's when it kind of seemed like Astralis were going to start at least having competition, and like then we went into this online shit, and all the conversation kind of died away. But like, I think it's still going to be very competitive Counter-Strike going forward. But like this level of NAVI, I don't know how you felt about this striker, but with what Prof's saying, Bit looking good, obviously Electronic and Simple both playing very, very well. It also makes Boomich and Perfecto look less out of place because their roles,
for sure.
You know, it felt like, okay, if they fuck up, it's okay. They're allowed to, because they either have a MP9 or they're doing something aggressive or they're being a bomb site anchor. Like, I was actually really impressed with Perfecto in the final. He looked very calm.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, he's never really, I don't know about you, but he's never really struck me as kind of a guy who'd get too nervous about himself. Maybe it's just the way that he looks. It's hard to say, but he never struck me as that kind of guy. And he's not even in like necessarily pressure positions a lot of the time. He's relatively like if you think about like nuke rap and stuff like that. Obviously, that's not very relevant at this point, but like he's just generally not in positions where he's gonna get nervous a lot of the time. It's relatively straightforward the way that he needs to play. So I think. He's that. I mean, this event has kind of like been like a combination of everybody kind of showing up together. I think Electronic was the big difference. Electronic and Bit were the big difference. Like obviously, Simple was even on a level beyond his own. So that's something that has to be said. But at the same time, like if you have Electronic at this level, at like the level that he's showed like 2 years in a row, where he was like top 5 in the ranking essentially, or like top 6, then like if you have 2 of those players on at the same time, like you're going to be a very hard team to beat already. And if you have a third guy like Bits, who's going to add on to that consistently, because like consistency was basically the key with Bit. He didn't have like massive performance, or maybe like a couple, but in general, like he was just there the whole time. Like he didn't have maps where he just disappeared, and that was the biggest thing. Like that's the biggest thing that we've had a problem with Navi the entire time. If you disregard the play style and stuff like that, they always had 2 people they could rely on, but the other 3, they were always on and off, right? Sometimes they would show up, sometimes they would not. And basically, like that's what would determine whether Navi could win the event or not. But if you have Electronic and Simple at that level, and a third guy who's consistently there, like that team is very difficult to beat by anybody. It doesn't matter how good the other team is.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, they don't really need to rely on like Boomich's crazy entries, because that's how they won some of these events. I'm not saying like he won them single-handedly, but he opened up the rounds, and then the rest of the team could win some of these rounds, which were key for them, or the perfecto clutches, right? And we didn't even talk about any of these 2 things at all during Cologne. No one talked about Perfecto's clutches, and that was the whole storyline when he came into the team IEM Katowice, when he had like 10 clutches or something during his first big event. Or I think what they win when it was all about Boomich. I think it was either a blast or with a global challenge or something, like not global challenge. That was won by maybe the blast finals.
The global final, you mean?
Global final, yeah, could be that. So it was always about like, and you look at that and like this isn't really sustainable. This kind of a play style, it's going to work sometimes not. You can't really win all of your clutches. That also really it's insane. It's impossible, right? So this looks much more consistent.
And Bit's another one of these kids who loves sitting close to the screen, like Rob's getting locked in. You know, these fucking zoomers, dude. I'm trying it more now. Like I'm getting there and I'm just like holding angles like this. I'm like, how the fuck do they do this? I can only see pixels, but they're making it work. So they had just if you just look at the overall stats for the tournament, Simple was number 1, Dexter was number 2 with 6 maps played, Case Rider was number 3 with 6 maps played. So you can almost take them out of the discussion. Number 4 was Electronic, and number 5 was Bit.
Yeah,
that's a fucking sick way to end the tournament with Simple going lights out. Like that really shows you a lot there. You know what I noticed? Every time in those maps where it felt like shit was getting out of control, Blade takes a timeout, he calls some shit, and I'm not worried anymore. The team, like, they were, you know, like it felt like they were actually everything that was meant to be working was working. I don't want to overblow this. Right? I don't want to be like they're going to be super. I think we're going to go into a very competitive era of Counter-Strike, and especially with this up and down nature of the online stuff. But this is the Navi we wanted to see, and we get it.
There's also a good stat. Like I felt like this was the thing, but I wanted to check it. T side win rate 63%. This is like very, very strong from Navi. Second best team at the event, Complexity with 5 mats, 52%, and all of the teams are like under that. Most of them are under 50% of T side win rate. So if you're winning on the T side, that also is kind of a good sign for me that the team knows what they're doing.
Like, I didn't think that there was anything crazy about their T sides, right? It didn't feel like there was any, like they weren't, but like, I feel like they would be able to isolate fights really consistently. Like it felt like most rounds they had a plan. I don't know. I might have to go back and rewatch some of the games, obviously, to get the full picture of things. Okay, let's
definitely not the FaZe T sides. There's a difference between the FaZe T sides and these Navi T sides.
Do we want to pivot to G2 or do you want to jump on to FaZe? I guess where we go.
Let's go
Let's
G2.
go G2.
Okay.
I agree with that.
The runners up for everybody playing at home was G2. If you missed it, well, they lost again. Now, same situation. G2, IEM Katowice, Grand Final 2020. They got owned then. This time round, right? If we're gonna be kind, they didn't get owned. The scorelines were 16-11, 16-14, and 16-13. And that nuke
should have gone their way.
That nuke round, man.
Did you go back and check what happened there? Because I didn't.
I did. So what happened was,
just like give a bit of context, so
okay,
people
so what
probably
was the
forgot.
scoreline? It was probably like 13-13
or 12-13 or something
yeah,
like that.
Something like that. So and Navi, Simple had shitloads of cash, right? And he bought an AWP. And here's me going, all right, so everyone else has USPs. They just have to stay alive and let Simple work the AWP. Simple goes outside, he takes a shot, they know the AWP's in play. So G2 are like, oh, fuck. So they're going back through lobby, they sell an outside fake. Simple, of course, what he does, instead of taking the AWP to ramp or something, or playing heaven, he goes, drops topside and goes in the hut with the AWP. G2 are able to get past him and get some territory. He kills Nexa. Simple kills Nexa, but G2, they look like they're taking space. They're making ground, getting towards the lower bomb site, but time's starting to become an issue. I'm pretty sure Perfecto got Nexa's AK. So now we're in the lower bomb site. G2 are coming into the lower site. There's nobody actually in the site. Simple drops vent, comes decon side. Hunter's in the site trying to plant opposite to decon side. While that's happening, Perfecto comes down, kills a guy window side who could have secured the whole thing in the little doorway. Meanwhile, what we didn't catch was Electronic coming down ramp with a USP only. We've got like 5 or 6 seconds left. Hunter's planting. Electronic shooting Hunter. Hunter has to stop, kills Electronic at ramp. Then after Perfecto kills the door guy, Hunter can't go anywhere. If he swings, Simple AWPs him. So Perfecto just opens the door, kills Hunter, the bomb doesn't go down, and the round's lost. And at that point, it's all over, right? It's all over. I'm pretty sure the scoreline at that point was 13-4. It was 13-13, and then it became 13-14. And then at that point, G2 had 2 timeouts left. They didn't take their timeouts. They kind of rushed the next 2 rounds, and that was it. Like, it wasn't it? It was Hunter planting, wasn't it? They're saying Jax was planting. I'm pretty sure it was Hunter planting.
Hunter.
Yeah, it was Hunter.
I'm pretty sure it was Hunter. But regardless, it doesn't really matter. But it was actually Electronic which forced them to stop the plant, which then gave Perfecto time to get the kill, then open the door and get the other kill, right? So it like afterwards, I don't know. I was like, I felt heartbroken for them. I was like breathing heavily. Like I caught myself, because I could hear my own voice when we cast. I could hear myself breathing into the mic. I was like, dude, fucking get a hold of yourself here. You're not even playing. But that right there was the heartbreaker, right? And the other maps were close too. Like Mirage 16-14, 8-7, 8-7. Like you're not getting close to that. I think all of the first halves in every single one of these were 8-7.
Yeah.
Like
it was also followed like the same kind of if you think about it, it was always kind of like Navi taking the first blood, right? Just getting like off to an early lead, and you're like, ah, fuck, G2 are kind of looking fucked, and then they just like suddenly have a big run, right? And they come back into the first half, they make a series, they make a map out of it, right? And that was kind of like the same thing, pretty much every map. It was the same shit on Nuke. Like, I remember with Prof, you were talking about how Nico was like, oh yeah, we needed a better start on Nuke to turn this around, right? And they started with like 0-5 down on Nuke. Or like they lose the second round. I don't remember exactly.
I think the 5 first rounds of all 3 maps, when you add them together, it was like 14-1 for Navi. So it was definitely not the start you want. If you're definitely the underdog in the match, like you don't want to start down every fucking map and have to claw your way back in. It's not even like a 2-0, 3-0, you know, and then you win the first gun round. It's like you lose the first gun round as well, and then you win the second gun round. So even when we just started on Dust 2, early on, it really felt like, okay, this is just going to be a stomp. But I was kind of impressed by how G2 got back into it. And like, okay, this is going to be a map. In the end, 16-11, it felt closer. And I think it was pretty close in the end. But just like the key rounds went Navi's way. And it was just like every map was like that. They won the key rounds. And it even wasn't that big of a simple show in the grand final. Like aside from Dust 2, it was like the whole team was performing actually.
I think here's some takeaways. Nico was kind of missing for map 1.
Yeah, I think that's the difference maker there. I think, like, I don't want to put it on him all, but like he had situations where he could have locked down rounds, and that would have made the difference. Where at least it would have gone like another 16-14. Like there were like 2 rounds where he just like missed essentially like duels that he in normal form he would have always won. Like there's no way he doesn't. So like that was definitely a difference maker. Obviously, like they still lost the next 2 maps. Like even if they were more competitive on Dust 2, like it would have still been the same. But it definitely could have been a little bit closer on Dust 2 if he was on as well.
I said it during the cast. This stat line got fed to me that Nico didn't have a multi-kill at all in map number 1. I don't know if that changed by the end of it.
I don't think so. I think he didn't.
And I hate doing stuff like that. I hate
crazy.
doing that because I don't like putting players on blast. But like it's Nico who's meant to be the star.
It
of
is
the
a
team,
storyline,
right?
man. Like it is a narrative that you need to focus on for sure.
So like bringing that up, like if he's there in even 25% more form than he was in that map, then who knows what that scoreline? Maybe Navi still win, but a couple of those rounds could be a little bit different. Mirage, it was only Nico. Like the first 3 rounds of Mirage, I was like, pack it up, boys. Go now, just beat the traffic. Like it looked like a shit show. And then Nico got like a lot of kills with the AK, and the next got an ace, and then things started coming back into it for him. But this is the thing. Like it was a good showing from G2. I think we all agree with that, right? This was a good showing. It's been more convincing. They've been stepping. But do we think this level of NAVI, can they actually be pushed by this G2 at better form? Because Amanek has been filling a very good role, but he's never going to be a star AWPer. So that means that Hunter and Nico can never go missing. They can never go missing. They have to both be there. Jax did his job in parts, and in other parts was having.
He bailed them out for a lot, like
on
late
Nuke,
in
he
Nuke.
did,
Late on Nuke, it was basically him that made it look like it was going to go G2's way at least. So he had moments, but you're right. Like that's not going to be a consistent way for them to win. Jax is always going to be the front guy who's obviously sometimes going to get these like multi kills, but it's not something that you can rely on. So I agree with that assessment. Honestly, like if you compare those 2 teams, you wouldn't think it could be close. To be fair.
So let's put it this way, Prof. How much money would you spend right now if you were Carlos to buy ZywOo from Vitality? How much? What is that worth, do you reckon? I'd pay 2 million right now.
I mean, that would actually.
I mean, it would be nice if you had that money, right?
Oh yeah, but Carlos does, or G2 does. Let me put it that way. G2 does.
I think but because this isn't about like winning tournaments, right? So it's how do I know how much it's worth? It's about the brand. It's about selling shit, and that part I do not know. But I think that is just Amanek minus Amanek plus ZywOo. Do you think like that instantly makes them the best team in the world?
I don't know if it instantly makes them the best team in the world. People talk about language issues. They still have Jax. Remember that. I just want to make sure that one's out there. I don't know if it instantly makes them the best team in the world, but now
the worst thing, I don't think they're the number 1 team across the next 2 years. I don't think they're the best team in the world still.
So what are they missing? Do you think? Oh, here's another problem I want to put your way. This team is pretty old. There was not a single member in NAVI who was older than the youngest member of G2.
Who's the youngest? Nexa?
Nexa and Nico, 24.
Okay.
Simple's the oldest at 23. Jax is 29. Amanek
So-
is 27.
Just talking about Amanek, also old boy.
Yeah.
Amanek in the grand final, despite him being just like support up, whatever, I don't think that wasn't great from him. Like, that was not a great showing, and it also reminds me. I know that the last Katowice they just got blown out on LAN, but I think he was probably maybe the one that struggled the most in that match. And then here again, he didn't really show up. So even if they played bad, I think he needs to do more, despite all of the limitations, like him not being a primary opper historically, doing a lot of things for the team, maybe running in with a Mac 10 here and there. But he was really missing some of these, not even multi-kill rounds, just like single kill rounds when you have like a 50-50, a 60-40 in your favor and you still don't get the kill. I felt like that was also a factor missing for G2 in this grand final.
So, like, because it's been a progression for G2, right? Like, it's been a progression to this point. How much more do we think they have to give? Like, I'm not trying to condemn them. I'm not trying to do any of that. But, like, is G2 going to be the one in the grand final all the time? Or are they just keeping the seat warm for Gambit until they get their issues out of the way that we saw at this event? Like, these are some of the questions. Like, are G2 actually the second best, like long-term projected? Because I don't know. I haven't given this a lot of thought.
The way I see G2 is like a more consistent FaZe, essentially, from a not just a stylistical point of view. I think obviously there's some similarities there. They both play kind of like on individuals, right? But like the way that FaZe can peak, if they have everybody kind of like turning on at the same time, I think this G2 can do that too, and actually win tournaments off that. But obviously, like if you're up against this Navi, like the individuals it's not gonna be the thing that's gonna push you over the line. You just have to be a better team at that point, because Navi's you don't beat Navi's individuals if they're on this kind of form. So that's kind of like the biggest problem for me. I think they have the team to peak at times, but they're not going to be the consistent team that is always going to be in finals, always competing for titles. They're just like going to have these moments where, like at the right time, they'll just go into the final, have a chance there, and that's it.
Okay, that right there is not something you can take to the bank, right? Like you're right, they might win a trophy. Like they definitely could. There's no reason they couldn't. But it's like if you wanted to get the most optimal G2, I don't know. I thought some of their T sides looked really clean, and they were like, especially against like Big on Mirage, for example. I reflect on that game. That's a group stage game, but they just owned Big on Mirage. It was like 14-1 T half.
By the way, do you remember how I said like that G2 haven't fucked up anything yet? That there's always a fuck up from G2 at an event, right? And as much as it didn't necessarily happen this event at all, like at least not to the same level that we were kind of used to it from them, they still had very messy sides. Like, for example, like if you think about the Astralis series, like the first, first, like obviously they went from on Nuke, they went from like kind of like a worrying start where it was like a force buys back and forth or something like that. Really weird rounds where they just got bailed out by like timings on taking out the bomb or something like that. And that obviously turned into like a massive dominance. So that wasn't really the issue. But then like the Dust 2 win was super messy. Like the Dust 2 T side was super messy. And from what I remember on Inferno, it was kind of like they really got bailed out by timings and individual plays, like really bailed out towards the end. It was that 2v4 from Pit, from Hunter and Nico that pretty much like turned it around for them. They should have lost that Inferno decider, I think, if that didn't happen. So it's
another
just like
16-14.
Yeah, exactly. Like they were very close to losing that series, so and only won it because of like some, I think, pretty lucky timings. I'm not sure. Maybe they had reads that kind of like played into their way. But from what I saw, it seemed to me like they kind of got away with murder there. So it's definitely not been the most convincing performance, even if the final was actually good. So that's kind of like what how I'm looking at it. Like they'll never look clean an entire tournament through. Like it seems like.
You sound like you're more like not disillusioned, but more like on the fence about them than I am. Like I was quite on the fence about them before, and I'm more converted now. Like I'm with you. Some of the stuff was messy,
Sure.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think we're like in the same spot. It's just
Sure.
like I was like this way and you were maybe this way, and now we're like meeting closer in the middle.
Pretty
Right?
much.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, I never, like, I always said that, like, I can't predict G2 to win tournaments. Like, it's just impossible to do it. Like, first of all, they haven't done it in like 2 years. That's one factor that just goes against them in any sort of prediction when it comes to title chances, right? But just if you look at them stylistically, like, they were never a consistent team. Like this past couple of events is the first time they've had any sort of consistent results over a larger period of time, and that's never happened with G2 in the past, if you think about it. So, like, this is kind of this is the first time where they actually looked somewhat consistent through a tournament, but there were still those messy halves that I spotted. So, sure, there's a step towards the right direction, but I think you're right in the op discussion, where just like it doesn't seem like you can play CS without a star opper at this in this meta. So that's kind of like, that's always going to be something they're going to go up against.
Carlos, I love Amanek as much as you do, mate. I think it's great. I think what he's done and picked up and done for the team, and he's had some really good showings. And you can even keep him. Get ZywOo. If your pockets are deep enough and you can buy ZywOo, get ZywOo. I would love to see that. Just
I'm not
Carlos,
even sure 2 million would cut it, man.
Make it 3. Who cares? Just do it. It's just money, you know. Just do it. All right, Prof. I'm going to throw.
Yeah, money doesn't buy happiness. So buy ZywOo. That's the second best thing.
I reckon if they get ZywOo, right, they'll lose 3-1. So it's a step in the right direction, right? They're getting there. Alex in chat just said that nobody has pockets deep enough to buy ZywOo. That is probably
I wouldn't be surprised.
True. Yeah, that wouldn't. If I was Vitality,
especially in today's time,
I'm not letting go of ZywOo. That's a fucking franchise player for the next 5 years.
Just imagine Vitality losing ZywOo. You can just like put a lock in it. Just leave. Bye.
Yeah. I want to throw you.
And he also extended his contract, by the way, not that long ago, for like 5 years? 5
Alex
years, I think
just
it was.
said
Right?
we're talking 10 to 15 million.
That would be fucking insane.
Yeah,
I don't think that's realistic. But then again, like, he has like one of the longest contracts of any player at this point. I think, even if you consider Simple and those guys. So
only 4.5 years still to go. So
nice. Get the counter going, Lucas. Put a counter up. All right, Astralis. I'm going to throw you the Astralis hand grenade here, Prof. Is this the last time we see this roster together?
The hand grenade, right? Last time, no, definitely. I don't think it's the last time.
Wait, with the constellation of the 5 players that they have right now?
You mean? I think we will still see these 5 players for some time. I don't think it's
in this team.
In this team, yes. You think it's gonna happen? You think they're gonna change during the player break?
Yes, 100%.
I mean, I know that. I don't know anything.
But come on now.
No, I don't think anyone is leaving. I don't think anyone is leaving now.
Okay, so they're adding.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could be a thing.
Okay.
No, but seriously, it's just a major. It's RMR points. That's the biggest problem right now, and it's not like they have to sell, and it's not like their contracts are going out now. It's in 6 months, right, at the end of the year. So probably gonna keep the players.
So, do we want to talk about their performance at the event, or do we just want to talk about them in the roster room as when we get later? Because we can bookmark them and do them later. Like, we could just say, yep, they did good. It was competitive. They showed that they have some fighting spirit. We can fucking tick all those boxes and we can like move on, or we can sit here and dive into it. But I think we'd all agree that the way that they won was clutches, individual plays, performances from individuals that we haven't seen in a long time, and the fight. Right? They had the fight in them. They weren't there to fuck around. They like that. That's it. It's good. Like, don't get me wrong, Astralis fans, Danes, don't get me wrong. I'm with you here. It was great to see, but there's not a lot to dive into in terms of nuance or evolving the meta or Glaive coming up with some crazy new strats.
Yeah. I mean, I'd give them credit for doing doing better in the playoffs than I thought they would have, especially after the way that they maybe even should have lost to Virtus Pro, or at least it was very close on the first 2 maps, right? Like, I thought there was no chance that they would even have a chance to beat G2, but obviously it went to 3 maps, 16-14 on Inferno, on a map where they possibly maybe even should have won if they converted that 4v2. So definitely, I mean, they deserve some credit for that for sure, because it's like they just performed way better than I would have expected, even beyond the group stage performance. So yeah, props to them for that at least.
Yeah. Prof, you got anything you want to talk about with Astralis?
But not on from the actual what we saw at the event. I don't know. Not really. Like
Okay.
we all know what happened. They played better than we expected, but
I mean, we just know that there has to be some stuff coming, right? Because of the constant references to them lacking an upper and stuff like that, and them literally just changing to Glaive essentially. Like at first, it kind of looked like it was going to be like Dupree CT side, Glaive T side, but it's like it turned kind of into just Glaive most of the time, and then
Yeah.
sometimes Dupree would pick it up. So
Yeah.
it's obviously like they're in flux when it comes to that position, and it's obvious that they have to solve it in a different way than just throwing it around people that they already have, right? They just have to get somebody else. So, and they've referred to that essentially already. So that's just kind of like the way that it goes.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like after the event, there was this interview with Glaive on this website. I don't know if you heard about astralis.gg. And from what I read there, everything was fine. He was very optimistic about the team's future. And there are no problems essentially. And they did essentially what was expected, making top 4 as Astralis always do. So I have no idea what you're referring to, like some op missing. No clue what's going on.
Well, that's the article that gets circulated to the shareholders.
Yeah.
So you have to have that. You have to have that one circulated to the shareholders, or you're pumping them the actual news.
Yeah, put the right spin on that, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about we've got a couple here. Now we need to do FaZe justice, because the FaZe fanboys out there are some of the scariest fans known to man. So we need to make sure that we suck all of their dicks. So like, how many can you fit in your mouth, Striker? Do you want to pick a couple?
I'm not even gonna grace that with an answer, man. I have to say that the FaZe were surprisingly looking. I don't know how to call it, to be honest. Like, they weren't looking super polished. I'm not going to say that, because I don't think that's necessarily true. Because obviously, like, there was that kind of like Kerrigan even referred to him kind of being a little bit desperate in some of those early moves and stuff like that, and they got bailed out of those a couple of times. So it's definitely not like this is like a phase that we should expect every event from now, but it's definitely like a step in the right direction compared to where they were just a couple of weeks ago, right? So like from that point of view, I think them beating Gambit is like way beyond anybody's expectations. Like, that's kind of crazy that happened, especially in the way that they did it, because like they came back so much on Ancient and even later on. So it's 100% beyond expectations. I don't even know what to take from that, aside from like I don't even know where exactly they improved to get to this position, to be honest.
Well, let's take the Navi series, because we don't even need to talk about that one, right? Like,
yeah, I mean that was like I felt like that was kind of like a delayed reality check for FaZe. I thought this was going to happen in the Gambit series, essentially what happened to them in the Navi, and that's why I feel better about FaZe now, because they beat Gambit that sure didn't look like the world beaters that they were before, but they were still a very solid team if you look at how they played beforehand, even in the G2 series that they lost. So like in general, that series kind of sold me that this is not just a one-time thing from FaZe and they're just going to go back to shit results online. But obviously, like the Navi series just kind of put them back in the place where we thought they would be against Gambit.
Well, that's true, because Prof, I don't know if you know this, but FaZe's dominance, if not for losses to Navi, Astralis, Fury being G2 FaZe, would have had a 13-match win streak. I thought that was really funny. So shout out to Lanza Padilla from Reddit for that one. That was quite funny. But we obviously need to, I guess, focus in on the Gambit one, right, Prof? Because that series right there, it was entertaining. It had the narrative, right? It had everything we wanted. Gambit, can they do it against the LANers? You know, the veterans of Olof, Rain, Carrigan. We know that Twist is a fucking big boy in LAN, and Brokey, he kind of just like ushered himself into that conversation because he's got the FaZe tag on, right? And he was the best performer in the server. But that one right there, right? Like, just to recap it for people at home, maybe missed it. Ancient, we saw that come out, and it was like, oh shit, FaZe, they're picking the newest map, right? And then it was like, well, there's no experience to have on this one, but they still won 16-13. Then Overpass was the slog. Gambit kind of shown that they could get through in the overtime 22-20. And then Inferno was 16-9, and FaZe kind of just took over with a strong T-half. But what are you putting that down to? More to, and remember the FaZe fanboys, more to FaZe playing well or Gambit not playing well? Or a little bit of both?
All of the FaZe fanboys reminded me of what I said on the show during the week, especially after that Gambit game. What did you say? What is this? Is this a clip from the show? Yes, Gambit is going to beat them 16-5, 16-6. Haha, this didn't happen. So shout out to those guys for boosting my interactions on Twitter. what to say. I think it just proved that the narrative worked out for FaZe. What we were talking about, just getting actually the biggest. What I was most impressed by from FaZe was that comeback from 11-1 on Ancient at the beginning of it, because at that point you think
Should have
this
been
is
over.
it. Yeah, Gambit is already running with it. It's not like they started bad, so they're choking, and it's like, oh, straight they can't get going against these land gods. They had a great start. They were confident, and they managed to take away that confidence and just like brawl them out over 3 maps to win the series. So that's a part that was super exciting. In the end, FaZe did show some better T sides. This is something that Kerrigan also talked about, like in the between the group stage and the playoffs, that he did maybe over pressure, like finding picks and going for entries. Their T sides improved a bit, and all of that just led to essentially the win. I think from Gambit's side, we did see that they're missing some of that composure that they have on online, individually mostly. I think as a team they still played more or less very similar. They tried to go for the same things. So I wasn't as disappointed as I was with Heroic, right? What we talked about on last show.
Yeah,
I think they played pretty well. I think Nafani as well individually didn't really. He's the guy that showed up the best on LAN.
100%.
Even though his role is like pretty difficult as well, he didn't really fall off at all. It was like the rest of the team that didn't really do as much as they usually do. Even Hobbit, who's like a LAN player, didn't do the same shit that he did online over the last 6 months. So I think that's a difference. But in the end, I still think that Gambit did enough overall over this tournament that I don't think it's not like they're not a winner of IEM Cologne, right? They shouldn't be happy about it.
Yeah.
But I think what they showed is enough to show that they, with a couple of more lands, that they could be, a top 5 team still.
Yeah, no, I agree with that sentiment right there. I kind of want to put a pin in this FaZe, actually, because
just one more thing. Like, obviously, credit has to go to Kerrigan for that series against Gambit, especially because he called an amazing series. Like, that was crazy, actually, and that's even against Nafani, who was in a really good individual shape, right? And still was pulling off kind of like the same lurky plays. He didn't pull them off a couple times because he kind of got readable, I guess. A couple, like the one against Twists, essentially like on Ancient, where he's going from CT spawn, he did for like the 3rd time in a row, so it was a little bit readable. And Twists just knew what was happening at that time. And like there were a couple more of those situations where he kind of got read, but more from like an individual standpoint. I'm not entirely sure whether they did as a team or whether Kerrigan just had a sick series. So it's just hard to say what to put that on. But Kerrigan definitely called a great series.
Yeah, I think that was one of the positives there, and they definitely identified a lot of the things that Gambit have been doing, and how to turn those into weaknesses. For example, over rotations was something that was a big takeaway for me in the G2 series, because it left gaps where there were big flanks and all that kind of stuff coming through, right? Like the Amanek one on Mirage, you guys might remember, where he came through the Tech 9. I think he got 2 kills in the back or some shit as they were rotating to B. Yeah. But also Kerrigan made sure that he had 2 guys, because on Overpass, I know they lost the map, but we could use that as an example. Gambit posture forward on the CT side with Shiro and Axel, but then they dropped back almost immediately. Late rounds, Kerrigan was making sure that they were executing on a site A with like Twist and Rain, I think it was, but ready to hit B, because Nafani was just getting pulled across the map. He could never read which side it was going to be. So Inters and Hobbit were on their own. Or when Nafani didn't gamble and go bite the fake, well, then they ended up going A, right? I think Kerrigan, those were really quite nice, the way that he was going about those. And then Inferno, just how quick they were to like make those plays. Like their executes were really quick. They were happy to punish when the 3-man B execs came in, or if they identified where Shiro's AWP were, they knew what side of the map that they could punish. And they just swarmed a lot of these tendencies at Gambit. And obviously, when nobody's making plays and nobody's making multi-kills for Gambit, that really hurts. So couple of little dramas there, or maybe not dramas. Maybe it's good that people finally exploited that shit, right? Oh, hold up. I think we have some breaking news coming through.
I was going to say.
Should we do that?
Let's get into that.
All right, it'll be in the late. That'll be in the fucking in the shit later. Hold up. We'll get to it in a second. Chat was just going nuts.
Okay, fine.
I know we should,
but it's complexity bench rush, and we will talk about it when we finish with IEM Cologne, right?
It makes sense because that's our next conversation. Yeah, we'll just stick with the order. But yeah, I think like Gambit had a couple of weaknesses. For me, I agree with that. NAVI being the best player. I think that Axel was still good. I think Shiro was actually better than what I've seen of him in recent. It was like obviously for LAN. I think Axel was probably not of his same level, but still good, right? But yeah, overall, I think FaZe is calling. I think Twist and Brokey showed they're legit. Now, if this, we'll get to this in the discussion with the player break too. But if Olaf is getting replaced, right, that's still a rumor that's out there, and they get like, I don't know, a Rops in the future, right? Rops, Brokey, Twist, like it starts to get really exciting, right? Like you start to really start believing in that project.
That would be like the old FaZe vibe where they just like have such a stacked lineup that you can't count them out ever.
Yeah,
basically, that's what would happen.
I think we've touched on almost everything here. The only team from the playoffs who we haven't spoken about is VP. And I think after what we said about them last week, we probably should, because we upset somebody on Reddit. They said it was unfair what we said. They didn't like it. They didn't like what we said. They didn't like it. So VP, what do we think, right? I still don't know where to put them. I still don't know what to think completely. I'm still a little bit lost. A little bit lost on this team. Do we have any? Does anybody have a diagnosis?
Let me just I don't know what to talk about, but
I liked what Maniac said about it. I don't know if you recall his argument about Virtus Pro. I don't remember what day he said this on, or but basically like what it was here, right? It was here on the show actually.
Could
like the issues that they have were basically hidden by the fact that the Ekindar was in such a good form, and just like the individuals kind of were in such a good form. Obviously, we didn't see Ekindar in the same kind of form recently, and in Cologne he was better, I guess, but still not the same level that we've that we saw from him like earlier on this year. And so it's still kind of shown that those gaps at least. And I feel like Maniac was right in that the issues that they had online they can't really fix right now, or at least they don't know how.
Okay. Prof?
What do you think about? It's never going to happen, but just imagine this: Spirits, Rifling Star, Mir joining Virtus Pro
in place of Sanji.
I mean, even Kickert. I think that could even work.
Okay,
so, that would be fucking insane, but it'll never happen because CIS transfers. So I just had that thought. That was just a thought.
I don't know. Like they went in there and they gave it a decent game, right? I get it was against Astralis. Like I don't know, guys. I'm not sold. Like if you said, "Hey Chad, is VP a top 10 team?" I'll say yes. You say, "Hey Chad, do you think VP can consistently be in top 3 or 4 finishes in events?" Probably say no.
And that's it, right? That's fair.
That's it. Like, yeah, let's leave it there. All right.
And they also like seem to rely on comebacks so much. It was the same in the Astralis series. I think they were down every single map by quite a bit. So it's just one of those things where if you don't start well enough in some of these series, you're just not going to be able to win consistently.
Now watch what happens after this, right? Last time we said a lot about VP. This time it's going to be, they didn't talk about VP long enough. That's so disrespectful, man. Like, how the fuck can they not talk about Virtus Pro, man? Like fuck.
You're saying that as the Virtus Pro has like a massive fan base, which
there's about 6 people who seem to give a fuck. No matter what we do, someone's going to complain. Anyway, Grand Slam. Prof, wrap it up.
Yeah, this is actually something kind of ties into the ESL Pro League being online, which is, it would be super bad. Actually, it would be absolutely trash tier if NAVI won Pro League and won the Grand Slam online from their bedrooms. Yes. That'd be absolutely dog shit. It would be so bad. Yes. So I just hope that online NAVI and NAVI after the player break, they probably lose in the group stage or whatever. Someone else wins. That's all I'm hoping. It would be so bad.
Better for the story.
Yeah, it would be much better for the story if it happened at a LAN and if someone else maybe got a win and it became like super close. But yeah, they're actually close to winning the Grand Slam. They need one more ESL DreamHack tournament. And that's it. It doesn't have to be a big one. It can be any of these that are coming up.
Okay. All right. That's it. That's the wrap up of IEM Cologne. Hope you guys all enjoyed that. We're going to go to a quick break and then we're going to talk about the tournament break. So bear with us.
And
spam some emojis in the chat, men's. See you soon.
At some Fun to your space with Xtrfy, designed in Sweden with focus on quality products built on experience. You're looking at Project 4, their 4th generation of products with super cool colorways to stand out, with matching sets to satisfy with a solid B4 bungee, lightweight ergonomic M4 mouse, the K4 keyboard is fantastic, all of which are performance focused, and finish it off with colorful GP4 mouse mats that are bold in design and smooth on the surface. The retro theme in particular has got the feels. Complete your setup with Xtrfy. No regrets, guaranteed.
Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna see you rolling fast. Win the round. Win the game.
Parimatch, your esports teammate. Stuck ranking up? Lost the motivation to grind? Bored of clicking heads on aim maps? Get some color into your game. Bitskins.com. Buying and selling skins made easy. Tons of payment methods and instant cash outs. Just choose your dream skins, select your preferred payment method, and start grinding again. If you want to play like the pros, you gotta look like the pros.
Thank you for bearing with us. We're going to get into some breaking news here as we talk about the tournament break, which has kicked off. It started on the 19th, Monday the 19th. It's going to go all the way up until, I believe, Sunday the 15th. I think that's when the tournament break ends. Guys, so just so you're aware, the tournament break doesn't mean that the players don't have to play any Counter-Strike. It means they can go for a holiday and then they have to come back and be in shape.
But then some people can play CS and then they can be in better form than these guys that took a break. So can you explain how that works?
Well, that works, Prof, because individuals actually have this crazy thing.
Let's talk about it when we get to there's a topic. Did we do a topic for this, like for the We Play Academy and the break?
Yeah.
So let's do it normally, like
okay.
not idiots,
not being facetious,
and
being a little bit of a cunt. All right. Okay, so Complexity Bench Rust, this has just dropped. I've linked Lucas the article. You can bring it up on the screen. About a week ago, they got rid of Keita, the coach, who actually subbed to my stream today. Thanks, Keita. But basically, I'll read you what this says. The American has been moved to the team's inactive roster as they look to make further changes heading into the player break. Tournament break. Prof, they got it wrong.
Note.
Fuck.
Just became a senior writer and already putting all of that on the line with words like these. Can't believe it.
The Dallas, the second, this is how it reads. It says, the move brings an end to the 27-year-old's 21-month long tenure alongside Blame F. Been an absolute. This is what he says. It's been an absolute pleasure working, or someone says.
That's Jason Lake.
Jason Lake says it's been an absolute pleasure working with Rush, and I can't state enough how impressed I was with professionalism during a very challenging time. He's an incredible person who I admire greatly and I miss him going forward. He spent the majority of the last 18 months overseas in Europe. The team is Blame F, Config, Poison, JKS with Rush inactive, and I guess they need a coach as well. Did we expect roster changes, Prof, for Complexity throughout the tournament break?
Yes, I guess. Like,
obviously,
this is a team that we kind of stopped even tracking for the last month or so, just because it felt like they're not going to be able to accomplish anything. And when the team gets to that point, what happens is a roster change, right? Or either that or like a miraculous role change or something like that, or a new coach, or I don't know. But apparently they're also changing their coach and the player, because as we mentioned, Keita is out. So yeah, roster change, not surprising at all. That it is Rush, also not that surprising, even though I think I was on Rush's side before he joined this Complexity team. I think, like, at the time I was saying that he has more to offer. I think what he offered in Complexity was okay for his role. Could have been better, maybe, yes. But I don't think he was like a make or break in this team's success. That's what can they maybe find a better player to upgrade and have more potentially, but I don't think this is gonna be, a massive change in Complexity.
Okay. Do we expect more changes, Prof?
I don't know at this like.
Oh, let me try again. Like, not do we, but would you
should-
like to see?
Probably, I do another change just because one change isn't going to really change the team's culture or anything. But I don't know. Like the only other player that you could maybe change now is Poison, and maybe you get a different opera. But I don't think that either changes the team that much. I think they just need to kind of look at themselves in the mirror and fix some internal problems that they probably have.
I'd like to see some stylistic changes. I think they're pretty easy to read. What do you think, Striker?
Hard to say about that, honestly. Like, I'm not super. I guess like I'm good enough with the strategic side to be able to tell, I guess, but I haven't really noticed enough because I just haven't followed Complexity because they haven't been making it too far into tournaments, right? So it's kind of difficult for me to judge that.
Okay.
But in general, like if you look at it, like Rush was always the guy, kind of like the bitch for everything, right? Like if they have a spot that they need to take, it's always going to be him taking it. Essentially, like it's never going to be anybody else. And their biggest problem has always been that there's just basically too many stars, too many egos on the team. Like it's just difficult to work with. Like that's kind of like something that they referenced a lot of the time. That there's just like problems
Even
all
with
the time.
Yep.
And you have to think that there's no way Rush was up that problem. Like there's no way Rush was that big ego or whatever it was. Like
he would have been the only one he wasn't.
Exactly. He's always been the opposite. So, like, if you want to get a firepower upgrade, I get it to a degree, I guess, even though they've been defending Rush and saying that they've been doing a good job in that role, kind of like taking the bitch spots and all of that, and just like being the guy who tanks his stats a lot of the time. I get it. But like, if you get another guy who has a little bit of an ego, like, where does that take this team? Like, that's my question essentially. So, I definitely don't see this being as the answer. Like, maybe they're just gonna get like a super stack lineup with some other like highly skilled player because they already have a very skilled lineup, right? And they're just going to become this like massively skilled super team who's just going to take people on individually. But is that going to make them any sort of consistent title contender? I doubt it. It's just like another one of those like phase situations where you just, if you peak at the right times, like you're going to be able to take titles. That's not something that you can expect from the team consistently.
Sure. Now, I think there's a laundry list of problems. I'll start with my boy Juzzy to just get that one out of the way so you guys don't think I'm a biased cunt. He hasn't been performing up to his level. We all know that, right? That's bang on. He hasn't been performing up to his level. Second of all, Poison, inconsistent. He's not consistent as an AWPer. He's hit or miss. He's either good one game, he's better with a rifle the next, or he doesn't show up in another. Config, I think, is the best thing about the team by an absolute mile. And I'm going to throw two names out there from the super lurky boy days of Counter-Strike, Happy and Get Right. Does anybody still play that style of Counter-Strike?
Not really.
No, but Blame F does. Right? Like, I just listed you three huge problems, right? I think that their T-side style of play is telegraphed as fuck. I think that JKS needs to perform better, and I think that Poison needs to be more consistent. I think there's three problems right there that all weren't an issue with Rush.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how you fix any of those three problems, but those three problems are problems. And like, sure, Rush's performances, his stats aren't great, but the team haven't been winning, right? So I think that there's a lot of problems there that the team needs to fix. I think that they need to change their approach and style to the game. There should never be in modern Counter-Strike, right? Like, there's one player who gets away with it on Nuke, Electronic. He gets down secret every round, but he even mixes it up. He creeps through the wall smoke, takes the fucking entry frag in main. He'll go warehouse. He'll go down secret. He'll dip back and meet his team in lobby. Right? There's like, I think there should never be a team in tier 1 Counter-Strike that if you kill the same guy, you know what strat they're running. Right? That should like, of course you need to have that symmetry and everything needs to look the same, but like there needs to be a bit more diversity. I think the time that I realized that they were getting counter-stratted was when like they were doing their set wall smokes and they were getting spammed through boxes with an AWP. Because like they were running the exact same set, like, and I was just like, okay, well at this point everybody knows what they're doing, right? Like, I just think like I don't know how Juzzy needs to perform better. I don't know what he needs to do, but he needs to perform better, and Poison needs to be more consistent. Like, they're my complexity dramas, right? And also, here's the thing, because fucking EG like think I'm a like call. I don't know if they actually call me a liar publicly, but I know that the owner came out and said that they were never considering dropping their thing, their play.
They probably said it in a more vague way than never consider. They'd probably say, we are committed to the future in CS, right? Something like that.
Yeah, well, like I've been keeping my ear down and I've been listening. I've been listening to the whispers. I've been listening to the whispers of the Counter-Strike 9s. And apparently that's where Rush is going. Apparently that's what's happening. Apparently he's going there. So keep your eyes out for that, right? I don't know if it's true. I just hear shit.
So they're saying EG are going back to a North American
I don't know.
lineup.
I don't know. I don't know. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. I talk to people. I'm on the phone. I'm making business calls, and that was a rumor. So
And
whether it
whenever
happens-
you're on a business call, it's like, do you know anything about EG?
yeah,
Anything
that's what I'm
about,
always
anything
asking.
new about EG?
And then I'm like, and then I go,
and then how are your wife and kids? And then
No,
okay, yeah, have a good day, goodbye.
the first thing I do is I go, hello, Chad Birchall speaking. What do you think of the NIP system? And if they don't say shit, I hang up immediately. And then I ask about the EG thing. But yeah, I don't know. We'll wait and see what happens with that.
We have to stop with this running gag, man. It's just not gonna take us to a good place, man.
But all the people who watch consistently know we're joking, right? Like,
That's the problem. That's the problem. Like people who don't know, it's just gonna be what's.
Well,
what's
we're
the
about
problem
to
with
talk
NFP?
about the Academy League, so we can suck their dick a little bit there. Should we jump into that?
Sure,
We're doing a
let's
little bit
do
of
it.
dick sucking tonight, guys.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe
let's just suck some more dicks.
I'm
Man. That's what we do here,
I'm
right?
getting real horny lately, so it's all coming together. All right, the Academy League, guys. The We Play Academy League is on. You guys may have seen that get announced not that long ago. It's a $100,000 league, and I want to get it's currently live. Have they finished for the day? No, it's currently live. It's currently live right now. Lucas, can you bring up this link for everybody playing at home so they can see all the teams? Actually, yeah, scroll down to the bottom where it's got all the teams. So here we go. The teams in this league are Young Ninjas. We know them well. Mouse NXT, they've been popping off lately. Furia Academy, Navi Junior, VP Prodigy, Astralis Talent, Big Academy, and Fnatic Rising, who didn't have a team until the first day of the tournament. I thought that one was quite cute. So yeah, that's the 8 teams. Now this Academy League, they're doing this round robin format. I've seen some really nice. I like their vertical health bars in the HUD. Have you guys noticed that?
I just saw it. Yeah.
These look squished though. They're kind of like, yeah, I'm not sure if they're a copy or not, but
I made a comment about it, a tweet the other day about it. The first thing I said was I said something positive about the We Play thing, but then the second follow-up one was a joke because of how much shit like the ESL one got. So I just was trying to make some gags, but I think people thought I was being serious. But yeah, I think that this league as a whole is actually kind of cool. Now, I want to talk about this from 2 perspectives. Don't know, have you boys watched many of the games? No shame if you haven't.
No.
Okay, so one of the cool things that they're doing, and then this will feed into my next point, is We Play are having rounds where they just use the team's communication live in the round, right? Whether or not it's in English, it doesn't matter. They just do it live. And actually, for the viewers, I've seen some really positive stuff. I've seen some good tweets about it. People really like that. I wanna give people an understanding of this. Okay, everybody at home. These teams are all part of a bigger team, right? We all know that. Those small teams can't play in the events with their big brother team because Volvo, they say no. So these teams, which are big brands, they do this. They get their shopping bag out and they put everybody in there. Let's put a Fnatic in there. Let's put an NIP in there. Let's put a Big in there. We've just covered some really big brands. Hold up a second. Let's throw Navi in there. They're a big brand. Let's throw Furia in there. Let's throw all of these into our nice little shopping bag and let's take these around and let's go knocking on some doors. Hello, Blast. Hello, ESL. Hello, We Play. Hello, Starletter. Does anybody want to run an Academy League? We will bring you our brand names and you can run a league. And our little guys, our Pee-wee League, I'm not being a cunt. I think this is a great idea. Can go and play against each other. And this is a franchise league. This right here is a franchise league, motherfuckers, right? This is the thing that the big boys want to do if they can, right? But they can't do it with the big boys because remember, Valve, they say no. So they do it with the little boys. They do it over here. And this is why We Play get to do the really cool stuff with the comms, right? And you go, well, should they be able to do that? Like, how are they doing that? Why can't we do that in ESL or Blast or this or that? Because the CSPPA in this situation really has no fucking say. Like, this is these guys who now get an opportunity to be put in the spotlight, play for an established org, potentially get a fast track into the big boy teams. Like, this here is so good for all the parties involved. I think the players, the teams, and as well as the company We Play who get to run this. I think this is great. I think this is a great platform to try things. I think it's a great platform to have new talent, to do all this stuff, right? And it's in the player break. So on the comments I just made there, does anybody want to pick up, or Prof, do you want me to throw you this one and you can talk about the tweets you were having with Steeko the other day?
I mean, what else to add? Like, it is everything you talked about. It's just like a platform for these new kids to kind of show off and see what they're made of. Of course, some of these teams also play like tier 2, tier 3 mostly events. So we already know that Mouse NXT is pretty good, that Torsi is looking pretty hot, that the young ninjas have pretty good players and stuff like that. So but when you put them in this like closed environment, you can make it more like, it is more interesting than just them playing against some, I don't know, top 50 team, just because of the whole storyline that they're building around it. And I feel like even though the viewership isn't insane, just there is talk about this league, like constantly people are talking about it. So it's obviously something that has not been missing, but it's filling a void in the CS scene right now.
I think it's a good way to segregate these academy teams from the circuits that could essentially see them progress to like the top leagues where they can't be because the main team is there, right? So like this is kind of like the first notion of like a normal sports setup where you have like, you know, the high school leagues or whatever, like the university leagues, and then leading up to the big dogs, right? So it's like this is like the first attempt at anything like that, because obviously like we have certain ways to like work up the ladder, but it's not something like that. It's not the same thing, right? It's just like the same teams. Like it doesn't have to be young people or anything like that. This is like very focused on the academy teams of the big dogs who just can't play together in the same tournament circuits. So this is like just like a good way to throw them all in the same bin. Like obviously brand value and all that, it's always going to draw some people, and it's a pretty good product, right? So I like it.
I think some people in chat were saying this would be a good place to experiment with MR12 and things like that. Like I think like actually that's not a bad shout at all. Like long run, maybe not short term, but it actually not a bad shout at all. So I think that there could be a lot of positives that come from this. It's also, we covered off most of the things. Do you want to say what?
I mean, we have to talk about it. I think we have to talk about it because it is a part of like the discussions that are going on right now, and it is the premise is people have been. I think Steeko tweeted about it, but some other people tweeted about it before, and I replied to Steeko because he's a person that is kind of reasonable, and I know he's not going to take it in a wrong way, and I can actually have a discussion with him and not expect like an instant fallout. But essentially, it's like, oh, these players, the academy players, are playing during the player break. Maybe that's not great. CSPPA would like to have a word with you or whatever, and that sounds kind of ridiculous. Just like why do you feel like you are invited into this conversation at all? Even if it's not like with any bad intent, just the PR that CSPPA has been getting over the last 6 months or a year isn't that positive, so people will automatically become a bit defensive about it. The whole premise is that maybe they shouldn't be playing during the player break, which I really disagree with. And I think this is actually the best time for these players to play, not only because of the exposure, but because if they are like 17-year-old, 16-year-old players, this is when they have most time to play and not focus on school and other obligations that they have during the year. So now they can put like 2 months all in on CS, and they can really show what they're made of and develop as a team. And have, it's not, even when we're talking about it, it's not just about one player, because if the team wants to develop, you need all 5 players plus the coach to be available at the same time. So if you have just one guy that has like school, then your available time in a day or in a week that you can practice goes down like 50% easily. Because like I was coaching a team that was in that position, and it just fucks up everything. You have one player that's really good, you don't want to kick him, but he has like 10 hours per week that he can practice in. So you practice in those 10 hours and that's it. So for these teams, this is a great opportunity to just fucking practice, play as good as you can. And it doesn't mean that when the summer ends that you're going to continue with that. But this is a tournament where you can show potential that when you finish with school, this is how you can play, right? So for me, it seems ridiculous that we should, I don't know, stop them from playing now with the idea of we are protecting them, because I don't think this is protecting them at all. You're not going to be burned out in your first year of playing semi-pro CS. That is not going to happen. Like, yes, player will be burnt out after 3 years of constantly traveling, playing online every day. But I don't think if you started playing like in March of this year, you played a bunch of these online tournaments like Young Ninjas did, and now you're playing through the summer and you play after the summer. I don't think that is going to burn you out so fast if you're like a 17-year-old kid playing CS. I don't think that is actually realistic. So it feels like, with no ill intent, people are trying to push things to people that don't really need their help, and it's actually just going to be to their detriment.
Sure. And in the past, just on this, the teams, the tier 2 and tier 3 teams who in the player break in the past were the ones who have played through the player break at the smaller tournaments, which are unrelated to the We Play Academy, just want to make that clear, tend to be the ones who give themselves a leg up coming into the end of the season.
Yeah.
This is an open circuit, right? You want to give yourself as much practice as humanly possible if you want to end up being a big name team or big name player, earning a shitload of money and winning trophies. That's what you want to do. That's the dream, right? Nobody should be able to come to you and say you can't. What you want, nobody to play Face-It Pugs for 4 weeks because you all want to go have a fucking holiday.
It's that's the other part of the discussion that I had on Twitter was from the guy from Copenhagen Flames, which was kind of down that route, because I guess Copenhagen Flames are a team that is between the top 30, top 50 for the past a couple of years, right? So he is in that position where if his team isn't playing through the summer break and some other team is playing through the summer break, then in August some other team is going to be maybe higher ranked than them. So they're going to get the invites. But there are a couple of issues with that. First of all, maybe tournament organizers shouldn't invite like the 65th ranked team based on like HLTV ranking, because at that point, these rankings aren't really completely like optimal best team. It's just like, it's like here or there, plus minus 20 spots doesn't really mean a lot. So you can maybe invite teams from another perspective, and that is something that tournament organizers can do by their own. And at the same time, the whole idea that no team should play during the player break, which is somehow trying to be pushed by CSPPA and other, because CSPPA even said like no tournaments should be held during the summer, not like tier 1 tournaments in Europe and North America, but like no tournaments. Let's just say in China, this maybe isn't the same thing. In some other region, maybe summer break isn't the same thing as it is for us here. So banning all tournaments is ridiculous. But also, even if there are no tournaments, some people will be playing and they'll be practicing. And when the tournament break is over, they'll be there and they'll be better than you who have been off for a month. So that also doesn't make any sense. You can't stop people from playing Counter-Strike. You just can't.
It's open circuit.
I definitely like the biggest factor for me is kind of like the kids still being in school and obviously having the summer to fucking grind CS. Like where else do you want to do that? Like that's pretty much what I did, right? Like when I started out playing CS, like when I didn't have time during, like school days and stuff like that, I just like grinded out during summers, right? And there was like a bunch of local tournaments that happened around that time because everybody had the time to go to them, right? All the kids could go to them. So like if you want to if you want to force a break on these people that just don't adhere to the same rules because of these things, because they just have like different needs in terms of like where they want their break, just put it when they have to do their like school finals or something like that, just like the month ahead or something like that, where they just have to focus on school and just finish school and stuff like that. Like that makes more sense to me, right? Than just forcing them to not be able to play any tournaments when they actually have the most time. Like that's crazy to me.
To be honest, like Stick also did say that he doesn't think that it has to be the same player break, but they should be entitled to some break during the year, right? Which is, I think that is fine. It's just this sentiment that comes out from a couple of people in CSPPA, and not necessarily CSPPA because they didn't say anything, but people associated with the CSPPA or players that are in the CSPPA. It almost feels like, which I'm not saying like Stick or anyone are actually thinking this, but it almost feels like they're trying to take away opportunity from players that are coming next, which is essentially, if you're not allowing them to play when you don't want to play, that is kind of what is happening. But they're probably not thinking about it that way, right?
Sure. All right, let's leave this topic. Let's move forward into the Astralis stuff because Bubsky just put out a nice bit of bait for everybody. He just did a sad cat and he added Magisk. He's not going anywhere, so everyone calm down. It's all good. But should we dive into these rumors from Danish
Yeah, of
leaks?
course. Yeah, of course. Like, this is the worst thing now that, like, oh, Rush is out. So this means that everything that guy wrote is happening. So Zipnix is going to FaZe. What
Oh
the
my
fuck is
God.
What the fuck is
It's
that
happening.
rumor? What the fuck is that?
So it was ZipX to FaZe. It was Dupree to NIP. It was Magisk to Complexity.
Yeah.
Where was Glaive going?
He was staying.
To
He was
Mars.
staying. Okay. I guess Bubsky wasn't going anywhere either. Were there any other rumors? Did I miss any other than that? Lucas, you're the guy writing it. Did we miss any? We've lost Lucas.
No idea.
He's writing some new tweets.
Absolutely no idea.
So those were the rumors. Now, I thought that this is what I was hearing, right? I was hearing that maybe Astralis wanted to get config and they were going to do some roster changes and stuff for a while there. But that conversation in my back channels has simmered down. I don't hear that anymore. I haven't heard that anymore. I don't think that's on the go anymore. I don't know. I still think that there's stuff happening at Astralis, but I don't think it's as aggressive as I originally did. So on that topic, I forgot to mention this, and I wanted to mention this. Just backpedaling to IEM Cologne, Bubsky had some big boy games, and it actually kind of reaffirmed for me why he got picked up in the first place to be a member there. I forgot to mention this, but he impressed me in a couple of moments in those games there, so I just wanted to dial back in there. So those ones, do we think that any of those ones that we just mentioned has any, like some people are saying like Mezzi to Fnatic as well as another one? Like, does that make any sense?
It's the same guy who said that, yeah.
Does that make any sense?
With Alex?
No, I think it's that's a
MSL.
Mezzi plus MSL was from this guy at least.
I mean, I think this guy like hears some things and then just like puts
it out
together.
there. That's it.
Puts together things that like kind of make sense to like fit the puzzle together, because it's not like nothing makes any sense. Like some parts of these reports are things that have been circulating around with just like everyone on Astralis leaving, and now the Rush thing, but the Zipnix going to FaZe, Magisk going to Complexity, like these are the things that I didn't hear at all. So I don't like, I think it's a very not reliable source at this moment.
Look, if anything, like this Bubsky thing that he just put out pretty much just confirms that Magisk is not going to Complexity. Like that's the tell right there.
Yeah,
that's true.
There's what they proven wrong right there.
Fair enough. All right, do we want to spend much time on this? This is all just
it's look. I don't want to give this too much attention because there's just not. Look, it's not like nothing out of that is substantiated, but like obviously some of these things are not going to be accurate. So I just don't want to give it too much attention.
Apparently, there was the Cold Zero situation where he said he was going to be playing Pro League, but it was a misunderstanding and it was someone else speaking. Did you guys see that stuff?
I saw someone make an article about it. Was it actually not him that said it?
Apparently not. I don't know. People are linking shit from Risk. Just linked something from TV2. Says the Danish star changes to American team. Patrick Essetag Hansen has found a new team. He's going to USA and playing for Complexity. Can you bring this up, Lucas?
What does it say? 10 p.m. Oh, it is 10 p.m. right now. Okay.
Yeah. not that. Let me find it. Risk. Is this on Twitter? This is on. I can't link it here. I'm not in the chat. Did anyone grab it?
Think
that
I
one
found
there.
it here.
Yeah. Can you whack that up, Lucas?
Sure.
Okay. This is like breaking. This is so the Danish sources, right? Lucas, you can probably talk to this more than we can. This is like an actual proper news website. I think I worked in this office, or was it TV3 I was in? I don't know. Like, do they normally post stuff that like this that is like rumors and shit?
This is like one of the big news websites in Denmark. They have like some public service contracts as well, so they would not post fake news. And they, I mean, they do have like they broadcast all the Counter-Strike on national television. And they do have like close contacts with everyone. So if they write it, it's probably true.
Okay. So they're saying Essetag joins Complexity, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the news. Essentially, we can switch to that. Essentially,
it's just coming at us tonight, isn't it? All right. Does Essetag fix any of the problems in Complexity that we were talking about?
I mean, we even have Brian tweeting, "Oh man, I can't wait to see Magisk announce. This is going to be so crazy and cool. No way that I'm actually quoting Brian on the HLTV Confirmed. He's going to be so happy, man. No way that anybody else other than Magisk is joining Complexity in place of Rush. Absolutely no chance."
Okay. Well, ESEA brings an interesting situation because in Astralis, when the team was well functioning, it was good. Yeah, okay. That's interesting. Cool.
There
Cole
you
just
go.
made it official?
Yeah, it's official now.
There you go.
Okay. All right.
I-
Well, there you go. That was quick.
Yeah, I totally didn't write this news, Russ. Just like an hour ago,
wait,
I didn't
you
know
did?
about this.
Wow, how did you write it just now? Wow, it's like so many words right here. Let's
Striker
go.
just did that in an instant. Okay, hold up. All right. Well, I guess. Fuck. There you go. All right.
So does it change anything? I
No.
think this is a good signing. Like it's a good signing.
Okay.
But I still don't think it changes everything that you talked about.
Sure. It doesn't fix the problems.
If anything, I think it makes it worse in the case
For
that
Poison and JKS.
they have 3 Danish guys now.
Yeah.
And that is I think that is pretty bad because that's a clan right there. ESEA and BlameF already played together. Config didn't play with ESEA, I think so. I don't think they played like maybe 1,000 years ago in the Danish scene, but yeah, it's essentially a Danish team now.
Okay.
Danish complexity.
Interesting. I think ESEA obviously is a solid player and can fill out a lot of those roles, right? Those bitch roles that Rush was doing. All right. Fucking hell. Well, breaking news, I suppose, everybody. We already talked about it a lot, so I don't know what
Somebody
else.
already ratted me out to Ryan, man. That I took coordinated him on HLTV Confirmed. Fuck.
Okay. Should we fast forward? Do we want to keep this thing flowing?
Yeah, I
let's
don't
go.
know what else to add here, right?
I think that I think let's keep going. Let's quickly do this, right? Just because we're going into the player break, what teams do we think first of all should make changes or will make changes? It doesn't really matter which way. Let me just run through the teams here in the rankings, and you guys just stop me, and we can have a discussion quickly. We'll try and make this quick fire, all right?
Yeah.
Navi, no. Gambit, no. G2, unless they can buy ZywOo, no. Astralis, we already spoke about. Virtus
Yeah.
Pro, you said probably not, right, Prof, because of CIS?
Yeah. I mean, it could happen, but I don't know. At the moment, I didn't hear anything about Virtus Pro changing, and it's very difficult to buy players in CIS, and we don't know when contracts run out, so can't really even speculate. Oh, I don't know, Chopper is free, they can get him or whatever. So
Okay. FaZe, do we think Olaf is going to be there for a while longer?
seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, they've reinforced that idea a couple of times already, so I feel like at least
Seems
for a
like
while.
a perfect placeholder for Robs, right?
Sure. That's next. I don't know when that Ruff's contract is up, actually.
I think it's like early next year. I
Okay.
think there's been references to that before.
All right. Well, keep our eyes out for that. Heroic, probably not.
No,
I would doubt it.
probably not. Yeah,
Not after one event, and an event that actually wasn't even that bad if you look at it. Like, it wasn't amazing. Obviously, they weren't nowhere near the form that they showed earlier in the year, but they didn't shit the bed. I guess I would call it that. Like, I'm not on board with everybody calling them all the onliners now and everything like that. No way.
Okay. Big. We heard rumors about Zentaros maybe linking up with Woxic and Calix and that kind of stuff. Do we think there's anything going over there at Big? I think maybe that would be on the one to
I'd
watch.
give it like not a 50%, 40% chance of change.
Yeah,
maybe
like
something
it's definitely like a team that could evaluate their options during the break and figure out if there's somebody they can get.
Yeah, it's not necessary that they change, especially with what Maniac said on the show. That really stuck with me. It's like maybe they're just happy being a top 10 team, and maybe they should be happy with being a top 10 team. But there's also Faven around. I don't know when his contract is up, probably end of the year, as it always is in German teams. But if it's now, then they snap him up. You know how those things go.
Faven made a tweet the other day.
Probably said I'm
said the
joining
23rd of the 7th, 2021, with the timer next to his with the sand hourglass thing. That's tomorrow.
Okay.
Who knows? Maybe it's his birthday.
Maybe he just wanted to like hype up HLTV Confirmed, but he missed the date.
That's possible too. NIP, I think we'd say almost definitely, right? Like there's going to be something going on there. That 5th position for Linus isn't locked, or do we think he's safe?
I wasn't sold on what he brought to the team necessarily in Cologne, but at the same time, like, yeah, I mean, he wasn't great. He wasn't great, but at the same time, he was like, he's in positions where you don't really notice him a lot. That's the problem for me. Like, I didn't really notice him whether he was doing okay or not. You know, it was just like I didn't get a good idea of whether he's a good fit or not.
Okay.
But statistically, he's been pretty bad. Like if you look at his rating.
Prof, what do you reckon?
If they can get a great player, then yes, but there are not many on the market right now. So that could be a similar thing.
More
Similar
academy
thing-
players?
No, but I think they keep him for now, or maybe they can change. But it feels like similar to FaZe and Olof. No shitting on Olof. He had a decent tournament. I think he played quite well.
Mhm.
But if a player is going to be available, then they go for him. Crim's contract 3 years is up also early next year, I think. Right, Striker?
Oh,
So-
that's right. I was
I
Crim's
thought he
Crim's
just
is-
signed.
Crim's is no,
it's a while ago now. Wait, let me see.
2019
Wow.
when him and JW did a 3-year contract. So maybe
Yeah.
that's the play, right? Or maybe Dupree is a play when their contracts run up.
1st of February is when they announced the new 3-year deals in 2019. So 2020 to 2022 in I don't know, half a year should be
Yeah.
running out.
Okay. Vitality, I think, will say no. They're probably pretty happy
Probably
with
not.
where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably not now.
Mouse
yeah.
Sports, probably same thing.
Same.
I think
S-
Mouse Sports' biggest chance is actually fucking promoting the academy offer, but not yet, I think.
Spirit, probably
Well, he's
not.
banned. Like Torsi is banned.
Oh,
for
yeah,
the time being.
till
So I think
November,
until the major happens, I guess Acor is safe for now. But he
Sure.
needs to step up for sure.
Liquid,
That's a possibility, but I think it's probably too early for them to change anything at this point. Still,
yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
only if one of them goes to Valorant, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
Complexity, well, we just spoke about those. Furia, I think probably should consider one.
Yeah, I think they should really consider one right now. Especially, I think the biggest issue with changing now is the RMR points, right? And the qualifying for the major. You don't want to lose points, so you don't want to change unless you have to, and that's going to be an issue for a lot of teams and why they don't want to change. But I don't think Furia is in that critical of a situation in NA. I think they're in a pretty good spot. So if they actually already changed Junior, so that doesn't even matter. They
Yeah,
can actually
Just get
for
anyone.
them it's free to make a change instead of Honda and get them in and play the next RMR. It's going to be minus 20% anymore anyway.
Is VSM unbanned?
VSM
yeah, he
is-
should be among those people who where
Yeah.
it was like long enough time ago that they
Acquitted.
just. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's
but
the,
isn't
that's
who's
the
the
word.
I don't even know. They're actually playing like a 6-man roster, so I don't know what's going on
They
with
keep
Phil Plano.
changing it. I tune in and like one game TRK is playing, the next game fucking Leo's playing, the next game fucking Lucas is playing. It's always
So,
changing.
I think Payne, Safe, safe. That guy is the obvious solution for Furia for an opper, but I don't know if how
Do they
that's
want an
gonna-
AWPer? Do you think that's the direction they want to go?
I think they do.
Okay.
I think when they played with an opper, they looked much better than before or after.
Okay, fair enough. OG, probably not.
No,
Entropic, probably not. Fours, probably not. Evil Geniuses,
the
maybe.
CIs. The CIs could like. The thing is with the CIs, like there's so little coming out of there in general that like there could just
Anything
be
could
one
happen.
day where like 4 teams just decide to change at the same time
True.
because it just like all cascades. So it's kind of like I would put them all in kind of like a maybes.
True.
If they're like one change happens, then it just like all starts a domino effect, right? So like that's kind of where I'm feeling about the CIs teams.
Okay. We're almost there. We're almost through the top 20. And last one, FPX.
Probably
Probably
not.
not.
I mean, they didn't play in 2 months, so
Yeah.
it's not like they have anything.
Yeah,
to
they
go
missed
on.
out on the Cologne spot by a hair. So
What about
Rough.
our free agents? Like the next thing that we want to talk about. Just
You had
briefly,
hottest
like,
players on the market. If
Yeah.
anything comes to mind, because for me, there isn't really like
I mean,
huge
you,
on the list.
You have Cold Zero, you have Chris
Yep.
J, you have
Yep.
Alex, you
Alex,
have Woxic, you have those are the kind of the
Yep.
names that come up to the top of my head right now. So that's a bunch of players that could.
Alu, Kenny's not a free agent. Everybody
Yeah.
typing. Yeah, I don't know. I think like for
Knock
Colts,
is not a free agent either, but he's also
Probably.
someone that,
probably signable.
yeah.
I don't know about JW either. Like his contract is up at the same time as Crims's, and I don't know. JW's benched, right? They didn't release him.
No, yeah.
Benched. Yeah, I don't know
But at
what's
the
his
same time,
future.
feels like they're kind of I think especially with how long he's been there and like with the contract being relatively short now, like 6 months or something, like there's probably there's probably some leeway there, and he could just get out if he needed to or if he wanted to. So
Sure.
it feels like
He's
one of
got
those
goodwill
situations.
as well. He's got
Yeah,
goodwill with
exactly.
the
Like
org.
he's been there for fucking 7 years or something like that. Like there's always going to be there's always going to be differences when you deal with those kind of players.
Okay. Let's pack it up. Let's go into playtime. You guys cool with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do
Lucas, roll the bump up. Welcome back. We're going into the Paramatch Matchmaker in the playtime here, brought to you by Paramatch. Tonight on the show, Prof is going to be doing it. We've got him, the little bit of the link there to do the selecting, and the one for the viewers is the one that has just been linked second for us. So I'm going to read these out for everybody playing at home, and Prof's going to talk us through his logic.
Okay.
Tonight, we have Simple's Flying Orb, Jumping Cold Zera,
Okay.
Apex Dust 2 Peak, Dozier's Pit Nade, Olaf Boost, Ago's Black Site Win. Oh, God. And the descriptive terms are unforgettable, overrated, blunder, sponge rant-worthy, game-changing, or I assume that is either a Henry G or an Ant. It's a Henry G. Ooh. Okay. All right. A Henry G.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
So talk us through it.
I'll go. I'll start with Ago's Black Site Win. I'll
Do you
say
know that one?
this is Sponge Rantworthy. I don't remember
I'm
why.
actually surprised you remember this because I didn't know that they actually got the fucking graffiti.
No,
for
no,
that.
no.
They played
yes.
like little grubs as well.
This is why. Yeah, of course, he's already pissed off. So that is the thing. I know there was something about it, and also something about the rules maybe that was kind of sucked. So yeah, that's definitely a Sponge Rant, especially now that he's like a
Danger Zone
Zone
professional.
pro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you win that now?
If they still hid in houses with scouts, probably not.
Okay.
If they're running around like losties, yeah, then actually probably fuck them up.
Yeah. Okay. So what do we have? Simple Flying Up, Jumping Colzera. Okay. Apex's Dust 2 Peak. Definitely overrated in terms of like getting a graffiti for that shit. Kind of dumb. And people talk about it too much. Not really that interesting. Like, but also at the same time, it's such an Apex move to like in overtime peak mid with an op, even though you're not an opper against the other team that has infinite money. But still, I think it's still overrated. What do we have? The Olaf boost. What are these answers? What is it? Game changing?
It was at the time.
Kind of was.
I'd say okay. Let's say simple Flying Up. Definitely unforgettable.
Yeah, dude. When you go back and you watch that, the observing was on like Crims. You don't even see it from Simple's POV. When you go back and watch it, it's like, oh, it would have been so sick in the arena if it was on his POV.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. Jumping Colzera, I guess we can go with the Henry G here.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
That kind of makes sense. That was just like you can't say anything about it. Just watch it unfold. And then what we have, Dosia's Pit Nade. You have the Olaf boost. The Olaf boost is game changing.
Yeah.
It literally changed the game. Like
Yeah.
you literally couldn't do it after. So I think that also works. And Dosia's Pit Nade.
Overrated as well, right?
Yeah, but it's also pretty cool. It actually helped them
Like
win the major.
it wasn't common to do
True.
at the time. So to
True.
be fair, like there was
Yeah.
kind of like a game changing as well, and like meta changing to a degree
True.
because people started doing it a little bit.
Okay.
True. I think game changing could go with that. I don't think there was actually a blunder. I mean, Dust to Peak from Apex was maybe a blunder, but who cares? I think this is what I'm going for.
Maybe
Alright.
the Simple's Flying Up was a blunder. Like the Crims actually kind of like
With there,
whiffed the shots. Yeah.
I don't
I
think
don't-
someone expects a guy to fucking jump up heaven with an
I mean-
AWP in a 2-on-1
Yeah,
situation.
wasn't very expected. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it'd be interesting when the Score Esports do up a bit of an article on this, Prof, for you, just reflecting on it all. That'd be great. Okay, so that was the Paramatch Matchmaker done by Prof. All right, cool. That was
there we
fun.
go.
Were there any fun questions coming in, boys?
There was one that I forgot though.
There we go. This is the classic striker. I
That
had a
was
great.
the, no,
I had
it was
a
the
great.
like who would you take on an island or some shit, right?
Oh, that was actually fun. Sponge.
Yes.
If you had to spend the rest of your life with one of the people present, who would it be? Striker, Prof, or Lucas?
Ooh.
That's a very difficult one.
I wouldn't pick me. Like I would pick me, but if I was you, I wouldn't pick me.
I actually don't know. Like, I don't think either of us any of us are
Like,
actually
in
using
what
it.
environment?
maybe I
in
would
what
pick you.
environment?
Spend the rest of your life with.
I was expecting this like on an island because
If it's on
that's
an
how.
island,
Yeah.
I would probably go with you, Prof. And the reason is because out of the three of you, you're the most tanned. So off the
Okay.
bat, you're going to probably handle the sun the best. I can see you've been hitting the gym a little bit. You're going to be able to help me lift some logs. We can start some fires and we can get shit going. Striker, Lucas, no offense, you guys are probably going to burn. And
I told you.
I can't have that.
understand.
So I probably have to go with Prof.
No, I burn you.
Okay. Well, okay. All right. Do we have anything else?
So let's see. Okay, we had that Colzera question. There's actually, is winning a major really a necessity to be entitled as the GOAT of CS? This is because we talked about this before.
Yeah.
I don't think it is. I don't think
It depends on the criteria, right?
Yeah, of course, on the criteria. But also, if you win everything else, if you win like a Grand Slam, if you win a lot of tournaments, I don't think the major is like the end all be all for this thing. Okay, so do you think LNZ will continue on NIP's main team? We talked about this.
The stuff about complexity, we talked about that.
Do you think ZywOo even has a chance to be top 3 this year, considering his team's like his team's results aren't that important? I mean, they're important in order like getting into playoffs and being able to play against the best teams, but it's not like Vitality's results. I mean, they have been actually pretty bad now that I think about it. They had a lot of last place exits. What do you think, Striker? Can ZywOo make it to the top 3?
I think top 3 is reasonable if he can catch up to Simple, considering Simple's probably going to keep doing Simple things. I think that's far-fetched. Like, I don't think, like, as much as I know this is like way too early, like we're only like essentially halfway into the year. Like Simple's basically like halfway there, not even halfway there. He's basically like number 1, almost confirmed already in my point of view. I don't know whether that's true in Peter's eyes, who's obviously the one who makes the call. But that's kind of the way I look at it, because he has like 4 MVPs, way more than anybody else. ZywOo has 0 so far, so obviously like there's a lot of ground to make up there. And there's I don't think there's any doubt that Simple is going to keep doing this, and I don't think there's any doubt that Navi will stay relevant, at least to a level where they're going to compete at a high, for high placings.
This doesn't even matter, like in terms of what Simple is going to do. Like this is more like ZywOo against Shiro, Axile. Sure. These players that have been.
Would it matter? Would it matter if we had more lands? Would those, like, if we had more lands and ZywOo did good at those lands, would they be weighted more, Striker, than the online early stuff from Gambit? Like, let's say ZywOo has a banger.
Well, the Katowice MVP last year, if we want to compare it to something, well, that's obviously comparable, right? Because like Cologne, this Cologne was essentially as important as Katowice last year was, because it was just a stack. It was on LAN. It was something like, even in the ranking, I think it was something like double compared to what the event would be if it was online. So like, and that's kind of goes along the same direction at the top 20 as well. It's just like one of those events that are just going to mean at the end of the year are just going to mean more than anything else. In this case, probably apart from the major, essentially, like that's pretty much the only thing that could surpass it. Or if we get like another event that is as stacked as this, that is going to be online. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Like Cologne has always been like one of the most prestigious, and like the best teams usually got there. Yeah. And we don't really have that much left in the year apart from like Pro League, which is obviously going to be online, and like a bunch of Blast stuff, and like some IEMs that are not going to be on the same level, I think, as a Cologne. So it seems like
it's gonna be hard, even if
Cologne. It seems like Cologne is kind of going to be like the biggest event until the end of the year already apart from the major.
Okay. All right. I don't think we got much else, boys. I think we're probably done. Unless there's any really good questions coming through in Twitch chat right now, which I'm keeping an eye on here, but it's a lot of stuff that is a bit hard for us to talk about, or just left field questions, nothing to really sink our teeth into.
Well, Gorilla sign as their 5th. They don't know. We don't know. That. They don't know either. So yeah, and not an easy situation to be in.
I mean, it didn't even feel like NATO was there as a permanent member from the first place. Like they even announced it in some sort of way, like a stand-in, just so they can keep playing. So it's kind of surprising that they got rid of him before they got an replacement, even though that seems to be true. So it's interesting.
I mean, that's more or less it, right?
Yeah, I think that's it. All right. Well, we were working on a guest for next week to have a show, but the guest can't make it. So we'll try and get another guest. And for everybody who keeps asking us to get Simple, I want to reiterate this again. We would love to have Simple on the show. We would be absolutely honored to have Simple on the show to come here and talk with us for 2 hours and get to answer your questions and dive into all the things around the player who, at least I think these guys, if I made a good argument, would agree is the best player. We would love to have him on. However, we have no power. We don't pay these people anything. We just ask them if they want to come on the show. And if they want to come on the show, they want to come on the show. So we're going to try and aim to still do one next week. And the plan for that show, if we can get a guest, great. If not, it's going to be like a mid-year. It's going to be a mid-year show. We're going to reflect on a bunch of hot topics, like biggest dramas, the biggest winners, like all of those things. We're going to have a little bit of that. We'll get you guys to contribute. We'll get some tweets out, and you guys can tell us what you think, and we'll talk about all that stuff. And we'll see what happens from there. In terms of other bits and bobs, we'll probably take a week or two off. I think we have to. And then just before we go back for EPL and stuff, we'll return. But if there's any massive bombshells, like let's say Dupree to Astralis does happen and Prof and Strike are around. Sorry, you know what I mean. If we're around, we'll try and make a show happen.
NIP just tweeted about that, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Seems like no Dupree ... at daily CSGO leaks.
All right. Well, everyone's having a bit of fun with it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we'll see what we can do. We'll bring you guys some more content if we can. I have some stuff that I want to dive into as well with like what we can do to actually kind of have a better circuit in the future. Yeah. Thanks again for tuning into another episode. Sorry that we ran over again. Sorry to Lucas. I know that we wanted to get him out of here on time tonight.
Party
yeah, but that's all right. It's still early-ish. You know, Lucas is young. He can rave. I've seen him out there fucking in those shuffle pants. Or is that's probably from the noughties? I don't think the kids are doing that anymore.
Yeah, it'd be like hammer pants or whatever they are.
No, there's like they used to do like this dance that was like shuffling, and like these pants were baggy, and it made it look like they were floating. I don't know.
Are those called hammer? Maybe I'm crazy, and maybe that's not the same thing.
Anyway, thank you again to Xtrfy, Parry Match, and Bitskins for supporting the show. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. I hope everybody has enjoyed tonight's episode. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing, Counter-Strike, guys. And if you're playing Face It, and in the first round, a guy does something you don't like, don't come on the mic immediately after one round and say that you're not going to play with the team anymore. You know, try and actually work it out, and don't just be a dick. Because if I'm in your game, I'm going to get mad at you, guys. I'm going to get mad at you because that's not on. Let's be friendly. Good night.
Add some fun to your space with Xtrfy, designed in Sweden with focus on quality products built on experience. You're looking at Project 4, their 4th generation of products with super cool colorways to stand out, with matching sets to satisfy with a solid B4 bungee, lightweight ergonomic M4 mouse, the K4 keyboard is fantastic, all of which are performance focused, and finish it off with colorful GP4 mouse mats that are bold in design and smooth on the surface. The retro theme in particular has got the feels. Complete your setup with Xtrfy. No regrets guaranteed.
Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna see you rolling fast. Win the round. Win the game.
Parry Match, your esports teammate. Stuck ranking up? Lost the motivation to grind? Bored of clicking heads on aim maps? Get some color into your game. Bitskins.com. Buying and selling skins made easy. Tons of payment methods and instant cash outs. Just choose your dream skins, select your preferred payment method, and start grinding again. If you want to play like the pros, you gotta look like the pros.